Let us continue. We are doing a chapter called Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, also called as Double Taxation Relief. Whenever there will be double taxation on any assessee, the assessee will not be comfortable. I belong to the Marwadi community. We are not comfortable with single tax also. Forget about double tax. So definitely there is no question of levying any double tax. We need to give relief to the assessee. We need to avoid double tax, and for that there is going to be an agreement. But who will enter into an agreement with whom is a secondary question. How to give relief, how much relief to give is a secondary question. The first question, primary question is, what do you mean by double taxation? Unless and until you don't know what is double taxation, you can never go ahead. Are you following? So we are learning that part, double taxation. In order to learn double taxation, we have to first learn the most important concept of international taxation, which will come again and again every chapter of international tax. Don't forget, DTAA is a chapter in 30 marks as well as 100 marks international tax, and of course it won't be repeated in the elective paper. So every chapter you will get this question. Globally, there are two principles of levy of tax. What are the two principles of levy of tax globally?
Principle of residence and principle of source.
Who will levy or who will apply the principle of residence and levy tax on you? The principle of residence will be applied by the home country, and the principle of source will be applied by the host country, and consequently there is a likelihood that there is going to be double taxation. When a person is a resident of one country, you remember Argentina, Shivam? When a person is a resident of one country and earns income in another country, the home country will apply principle of residence, the host country will apply principle of source, and thus the same person on the same income will be liable to pay tax twice. Same person, same income, tax twice. Which type of double taxation is this? Same person, same income getting taxed twice? Juridical double taxation. We have, very good, we have one more type of double taxation, that is economic double taxation, where again the same income will get taxed twice, but in the hands of two different people. Economic double taxation is more in the nature of a punishment, where we again took an example of a company making cash payment in excess of rupees 10,000. So the receiver has to pay tax because it is income, but for the payer company there won't be any deduction because of the punishment of disallowance of expenditure, and thus the same amount will be in the income of the CA, the example that we took, and also the income of the company. Consequently, same income will be taxed twice, but this time in the hands of, come on, two different people, and that is known as economic double taxation. So what is the difference? If it is the same person paying both the taxes, then it will be juridical double taxation, and if it is different people paying both the taxes, then it will be economic double taxation. And we have understood the examples of both. Have we understood the examples of both? Juridical as well as economic. These two examples, the screen is visible to you, no? Fantastic. So then, please listen and understand. Please understand. Okay. Finally, we reach that stage where we have understood both the types of double taxation, and along with that, we have also understood the most important concept of international tax, the two principles of levy of tax. Now that we have understood what is double taxation, we now need to decide or calculate how to provide relief from double taxation, how to give relief under double taxation. Eyes open, ears open, wide open, nose not required. Please pay attention, very careful attention. Relief will be provided here. Which double taxation is this? Juridical. And focus please, there will be absolutely no relief under economic double taxation. Absolutely no relief. Whatever we are going to learn from now onwards in this chapter is only going to be for this, with respect to this. This concept was only taught to you, the concept of economic double taxation, so that you know the meaning, and also So that if there is any MCQ, a multiple choice question, they give you a situation and they tell you that decide whether it is juridical double taxation or whether it is economic double taxation, so that you can choose if you know the meaning. Hereafter, the concept of, if you've not understood, let me tell you, the concept of economic double taxation is finished, over, khatam, tata, bye bye. No further discussion on that, because we are now going to discuss how to give relief. Please understand. We are now going to discuss what? How to give relief from double taxation, and relief is available only in juridical double taxation. Only in juridical double taxation. Sir, why sir? What is the logic? Listen, what is going to make you better than any other student of the country? You will know the reason behind everything. You will know the logic. I always say this in almost every class. Nothing is bigger than logic. If you know the logic, if you know the provision, if you know the concept, you can answer anything and everything. So please understand. Do one thing. Insert your hand in your pocket. Not literally. Imagine. And check. In this example, this 30 tax and this 40. Have both the tax liabilities been paid from the same person's pocket, from your pocket, Mr. S? 30 is also paid by him and 40 is also paid by him. That means he has earned 100. So imagine, he went to a foreign country with his newly married wife. Over there, his money got over. Already, his wife has started disliking him. And if you can't provide me food also, then what is the point of getting married to you? In that, he took up a job. Poor guy, after so much hard work, he earned 100. Out of 100, do you understand? 70 went away. Well, how? 30 in India and 40 in Argentina. Gone, no? And that is the reason it is a case of genuine hardship. And to keep the jokes apart, that was only to make the atmosphere of the class a little light. Please understand this also. If we rigidly follow this attitude, then this will strongly impact free flow of goods and services from one country to the other. We want the world to be one open market. We want that goods of one country, services of one country get sold in another country. And the moment that will happen, both countries will start levying taxes. One because of home country residence, other because host country source. People will think, after doing so much hard work, if most of my income goes away in the form of taxation, why to take the trouble of doing business in another country? I will stay very happy in my country. At least I have to pay tax only at one place. My hard work is going away in the form of tax. Applying double taxation like this is going to badly affect free flow of trade and industry from one country to the other. Do you understand the logic here? And thus, we will provide relief. So, providing relief over here is logical, no problem out there. Now, let's come here. At least I have told you the provision, there is not going to be any relief. Economic double taxation is over. Sir, why? Insert your hand again in your pocket and check. Have the two tax liabilities been paid from the same pocket? No. If you remember the example, tell me, who were the two people? It is different people, no? Who were the two assessees who paid tax here on the same amount?
The chartered accountant and
The company and the chartered accountant. Correct or no? That means, imagine yourself as the company. How many times you paid tax? Once. Or yourself as the CA. You paid tax only once. From your pocket. Government is getting twice, agreed. But from your pocket, tax liability was incurred only once. Then why do you want relief? That's the logic why there will be no relief. You have paid only once. Moreover, this is generally in the nature of a punishment. Think about it. An expenditure being disallowed is because our government wants to curb cash transactions in the economy. And consequently, it's a prohibitory section. And this is more in the nature of a penalty. And consequently, we are not going to provide you any relief. You have contravened the statutory provision. We are not going to provide you any kind of relief out here. That is the logic. See, at the end of the day, logic is important to understand things. Tomorrow, if you decide to become a teacher, you can explain things to people. Provision is this only. What? Under juridical, you will get relief. Under economic, you will not get relief. Is that understood? Yes, please.
they are not audible, so we just may ask that.
Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me now? One second, please. Yes, of course. Of course. Whenever you want a thing like this, no, immediately tell me. I will do that. Okay. What did I say? That under juridical double taxation, because both taxes are being paid from the same pocket, and thus you will be eligible for relief. But under economic double taxation, the two tax liabilities are paid from two different pockets. That means from your pocket, the tax liability was incurred only once, and consequently you will not be eligible for any kind of relief. And generally, economic double taxation is in the nature of a punishment, which is also a reason why there will be no relief under economic double taxation. Now, is this understood? And consequently, just tell me whether you have understood the following things. First, the two global principles of levy of tax. Have you understood that? Very important concept, because it will come in every chapter of international tax. With the help of that concept, have you understood what is double taxation and what are the two types of double taxation? Juridical and economic. And last, but again very important, that from now, if we are going to learn how to provide double taxation relief, in fact, in the ICAI study material, name of the chapter is only double taxation relief. How to provide relief? We are only concerned with the concept of juridical double taxation, because, complete this line, because in the concept of economic double taxation, dash. There is no relief. When I say we are discussing relief only for juridical double taxation, because under economic double taxation, there is no relief. Have you understood that? So now let's understand how to provide relief from double taxation. Now, when we are discussing the concept of relief, there is one requirement that you have to fulfill. All throughout the chapter, at the side of your brain, what do we call in Mumbai? Kopcha, kopra. At the side of your brain, you need to store 30 plus 40 equal to 70. When I say 30, when I say 40, when I say total 70 on income of 100, you cannot be ignorant or you cannot forget the amounts what I am talking about, which example I am referring to here. You remember which example I am talking about? Mr. S, resident of India, income in Argentina, India home country principle of residence 30 tax, Argentina host country principle of source 40 tax, and thus on the same income of 100, the same person is paying tax a total of 70. So listen to what I am saying. Our objective now in this chapter is to reduce 7070 to a lower number. Our objective is to reduce 70 to a lower number. You know which 70 I am talking about? 30 plus 40 total 70. You know where 30 was incurred, where 40 was incurred. You have to remember this till the end of the chapter. Then only you will follow the link what is happening. Our objective is to reduce 70 to a lower number. Think about it. If we reduce 70 to a lower number, the total amount of 70, will that work as relief to the assessee? Because it is a reduction of his tax liability. Make sense to you? So our objective is to provide relief to the assessee by reducing his overall tax liability. What are the possibilities? Possibility 1, the home country decides to leave tax. In that case, do you understand? 30 will go away, only 40 will remain. Possibility 2, the host country decides to leave tax. In that case, 40 will go away, 30 will remain. Possibility 3, listen carefully. Both countries decide to reduce their tax rates. So India says, listen, normally in our country the tax rate is 30. But because both countries are levying tax, you pay us only half. That means in India you will pay 15. Likewise, Argentina is saying, normally in our country the rate of tax is 40. But because both countries are taking tax, we will make it half. That means, can I say Argentina will take 20? Accordingly, 15 in India and 20 in Argentina, you will end up paying a total of 35. That means we have still ended up reducing your 70 to half, because both countries have reduced your tax rate by half. We have still ended up what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to reduce 70 to a lower number. Have we successfully reduced the tax liability of the assessee? Whether home country leaves or host country leaves, or they reduce it to half, or half was also an example. Listen, India can say instead of 30 pay only 2%. Argentina can say instead of 40 pay 38%. The total will become 40. But it is still better than 70. Objective is to reduce 70 to a lower number. These were examples that I gave you. Are you following? And of course, whenever one country decides to leave tax, let us go into a little depth of it. Supposingly, India decides to leave tax. In our example, India was the home country. India decides to leave tax. So, Shivam has to pay only 40. Therefore, in Argentina, no tax in India. But that will obviously be, do you have common sense more than anything else to understand that tomorrow, if someone from Argentina comes to India and earns income, in that case, Argentina will become the home country. India will become this time the host country, and this time Argentina has to leave tax and India will get tax. So if the home country will leave tax, it will leave both ways. We have to be fair to both countries. No? If the host country leaves tax, it will be both ways. And therefore, in general, we do not get to see a blanket removal of tax. Generally, both countries levy tax, but at a reduced rate. And when they reduce that rate, we end up successfully reducing our 70 to a lower number. That is the purpose, and the purpose is to reduce your overall tax liability. That is how we are going to provide relief. That was just a little bit oral discussion, oral explanation. Now we will go to the technical part. You all are understanding what is happening? We want to reduce 70 to a lower number. What are the possibilities? One way of reducing is by providing the assessee bilateral relief, which is prescribed under section 90 and 90A of income tax. That's bilateral relief. And another way of providing relief is unilateral relief, which is provided under section 91 of income tax. Bilateral is covered in 90 and 90A. Unilateral is covered under section 91 of income tax. I'll explain both. Don't worry. Focus. The word by in English refers to a number. Which number? 2. When we say there is a bilateral tournament between India, England is going on right now. I actually stopped following cricket some years ago. When players like Tendulkar, Ganguly, Kumble, Dravid, Lakshman, Sehwag, they retired, my childhood was over. Okay, cricket is not the same anymore for our generation, my generation. You all are the Kohli generation, I know that. So bilateral means two countries are playing against each other. Likewise, here also bilateral will refer to two. And likewise, if we talk about the word uni, the word uni also in English refers to a number, and that is 1. 1, no? That logic will help you to understand the concept of bilateral relief, unilateral relief. Whether the relief is bilateral or unilateral, at the end of the day, whether here or whether here, 70 has to be reduced. You all remember 70, no? Let's understand what is happening here. Remember Mr. Shivam, India and Argentina, two countries were levying tax. When two countries were levying tax, Shivam decided that I should not go only to that country. I'll stay here only. Likewise, the citizens of Argentina are also now not interested in coming to India. This is affecting the flow, as I told you some time back. People are not willing to go to that other country because of double taxation. This problem was realized by Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, and a very, very shrewd Guju businessman. See, Gujus are very sharp when it comes to doing business, when it comes to making profits. No one can even think about beating them. A Guju is a guy who can purchase things from a Marwadi, sell to a Sindhi and still make profits in that. That's the talent of a Guju. And if you observe carefully, our entire country is being currently governed and run by Gujus. The two senior most people, the two most powerful people in the country are Gujus. The top few richest guys of the country are Gujus. Modi ji is a very clever businessman. He is one by one. Argentina is only an example in the entire discussion. I hope you understand. One by one, he is calling world leaders. All of them. Biden, Putin. Who else? Maybe the head of Taliban in Afghanistan now. He is one by one calling. That lady from New Zealand, what is her name? The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. Correct, no? And one by one calling all of them. What's up, bro? What's up, Ben? How are you? Come, no? Come over, a cup of tea. Modi ji makes good tea, no? So he's inviting them over a cup of tea. Chai pe charcha. Come, let's have a cup of tea together. And when they were sitting across a table, he explains the situation. Listen, boss. And that boss can be anyone, huh? Any other guy. It can be Argentina, it can be Biden, it can be New Zealand, it can be Russia, it can be UK, it can be anyone. Listen, my resident came to your country. I am levying tax, you are levying tax. Tomorrow your resident will come, again both of us will levy tax. With this, my people won't come to your country. Your people won't come to my country. It is going to affect the flow of trade, industry and people from one country to other. Do you want that? Think about it as a world leader. If I am Modi and you are the Prime Minister of any other country, I am talking to you, think about it as a world leader. You want that? No. Then listen. Together we should provide some relief. And the other world leader very much understood what Mr. Modi said, and consequently together both countries, together both countries. Let's take our example only. Which were the two countries in our example? India and Argentina. They cooperate with each other. India and Argentina on a piece of paper write down terms and conditions. Sometimes India will leave tax, sometimes Argentina will leave tax, sometimes they will reduce their rate of tax. Ladies and gentlemen, government of India is now going to enter into a double taxation avoidance agreement. An agreement is also called as, what are the two other names of agreement? Treaty and convention. Government of India will enter into an agreement, a treaty, a convention with the government of the other country. That agreement is called DTAA. Today, let's be clear, a DTAA is not going to be entered between the two income tax departments of the two countries. No, please. It won't be an agreement between assessee and income tax department of India or income tax department of Argentina. A DTAA is not an agreement between assessee and government of India, assessee and government of Argentina. No, please. A treaty is an agreement between two countries for the purpose of providing relief from double tax, to reduce 7070 to a lower number. Sometimes home country, sometimes host country, sometimes they will reduce their tax. But at the end of the day, we are going to reduce your total tax liability 7070 to a lower number. And thus, there will be an agreement between whom? Both countries. That agreement is called DTAA. And then understood why this is called bilateral relief? Because both governments are involved and they are cooperating with each other. That is why we will call it bilateral relief. Understood? Now, for comparison purposes, I will explain to you also the concept and meaning of unilateral, only for comparison. Okay, so we just studied 3 points out here and you understood the meaning of bilateral relief. Likewise, I will do a comparative study of unilateral and you will understand the meaning. But after this, what will be our agenda? Please pay attention. We will give a heading bilateral relief and learn the entire concept in detail from start to finish. Then we will give a heading unilateral relief and learn the entire concept in detail from start to finish. Abhinandanam. Thereafter, chapter over. The chapter of DTAA is now all about learning bilateral relief in detail and unilateral relief in detail. We have only studied meaning of bilateral, then we will study meaning of unilateral for comparison purposes, and then we will learn both concepts in detail, complete detail, chapter over. And these minimum 6 marks are in your pocket, I am telling you. It is one of the best chapters to score marks in exam. And we have our target of minimum 15 in international tax. All throughout our portion, do not forget the target. Be smart when you are studying. Hard work is important and smart work is equally important. Okay. So, let's understand the meaning of the term unilateral with the help of continuation of the example that I was talking about. Remember, Mr. Modi called one by one all the world leaders, met them, sat across a table and explained the problem. 30, 40, total 70, and thus they agreed to reduce tax liability, and together there was cooperation between both governments. Thus we call it bilateral relief, and there are going to be agreements. But then what I would like to tell you is, India till now has entered into DTAA with approximately 117 or 18, let's take round figure, 120 countries in the world, approximately. Now about 117, 118 DTAAs that India has entered into, let's take a round figure, 120 agreements. How many total countries in the world? 5,000, sir, 10,000. 183 was the score which makes you captain of Indian cricket team. Ganguly scored 183 in 1999. Dhoni scored 183 in 2007 or 6. 183 is that score. 197 or 198, if you do a simple Google search, you'll come to know how many total countries in the world. There is some confusion whether it is 197 or 198. There is this one country which claims to be a country, but United Nations does not recognize it as a country. To hell with it, we'll take round figure 200. But it is definitely not 5,000, 6,000. Stop bluffing if you don't know. Okay. Let's take round figure 200 countries in the world. When we have taken round figure here also. So approximately 118, I said take 120. So total countries in the world approximately 200. Out of that, India has an agreement with approximately 120, which means even today there are about 80 odd countries in the world with which India does not have a DTAA. Do you understand that? Why, sir? Understand. One by one. Remember that story. One by one, Mr. Modi was calling everyone. Hello, bhai, come to have a tea. Hello, Ben, come and have a tea. Have a cup of tea. Come. Is it possible that some of them refuse to talk to Mr. Modi? Well, no, I don't like you. Is it possible some of them speak to him but are not willing to meet him? Well, Mr. Modi, every time you meet people, you hug them very tight. In times of COVID, it is inappropriate behavior. So, I don't want to meet you. Stupid things, huh? No world leader will refuse to answer the phone call of other world leader. No one will refuse to meet. And Mr. Modi is like, Acha, you can't come, no problem, I will come. Just tell me when. I am ready. He is ever ready, whenever. He just requires an opportunity. But one thing is possible. We spoke, we met, but when we discussed, our terms did not work. Now, Mr. Modi is saying that home country will get tax. In that case, if an Indian goes to Argentina, India will get tax, Argentina will leave tax. But on the understanding that tomorrow a citizen of Argentina will come to India, then Argentina should get tax and India should leave tax. If home country should get tax, then it should get tax in both ways. But the problem is, Indians go to Argentina frequently, but they don't come here. When was the last time you saw a citizen of Argentina selling vada pav in the streets of Mumbai? Vada pav, vada pav, vada pav. When did you see him? So making the home country take tax blanket manner is not appropriate, and thus that country did not agree. Do you understand the possibility out here? And this is very much possible. Whether We discuss about refusing to speak on the phone or not meeting. That is, no world leader will do that unless you are the head of North Korea. He can do anything. What's the name of that guy? Kong Kong Yong Kong, something like that. When you speak that name, no, your throat chokes. King Wong Jong, something like that. That guy, so he might just say, Mr. Modi, why did you call me? I am going to explode bombs in your country. Stop calling me. I don't want to talk to you. He is known as very rude and arrogant. Is it so? I don't know. I never met him. Just read about him in newspapers, TV channels. And the worst place to draw conclusions is social media. Social media can make anyone a hero, anyone a zero. Without reason also hero and zero. We have seen cases like power ho rahi hai. We have seen cases like baspan ka pyar. What stupidity is, I don't understand. Social media can make anybody a hero and zero at any point of time. So let's not go by that. Let's not judge whether King Yong is really a bad guy or a good guy. But we are only assuming. What if he refuses to answer phone call? Or if he refuses to meet? Or if he meets, is it possible that at least this is the most likely thing, that the terms have not worked between the two countries? Me as an individual faculty of Chartered Accountancy, working since 11 years. Today I am working with at least 6-7 organizations across India. At least 6-7 organizations. Okay. But I negotiated with 60, then I finalized 6. I have a few non-negotiables. And if I will give my textbook, it has to be my cover page and my photo. Because I am under contract. Which book I can give, which I cannot give on the basis of my contract. Only on, and these are non-negotiables from my side. So some organizations agree with that. Some organizations do not agree. They are like, no, we have our own brand, so we will give our cover page. Sorry, I cannot work with you, irrespective of what you are willing to pay. At my individual level, when I have negotiated with so many and finalized only a few, and we are talking about two different countries out here. Do you understand the quantum of negotiation and the possibility of not being able to finalize terms and conditions between the two countries? Which is why even today there are roughly about 80 countries with which India does not have a double taxation avoidance agreement. Have you understood that? In that case, Mr. Shivam, today let us take an example where India does not have an agreement with Argentina. That means, do you understand? We will not be able to do anything with that 40 because there is no cooperation between India and Argentina. At this stage, government of India, like, what do you call it, a consolation prize. In our school, no, we used to have competitions like debate competition, elocution competition, singing competition. There used to be 3 winners, first prize, second prize, third prize. But all those who do not win any prize, they used to give something called a consolation prize as appreciation for participation. You have heard of thing called participation certificate? Something like that will happen with you. Look, Mr. Assessee, that government is not cooperating with us. We have got no control over that government. But this tax we are taking, no. We will give you some relief from this tax. We cannot do anything about 40, but we will reduce 30, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you reduce from 40 or from 30, it will still get reduced from the total of 70, and that is the objective. That is what relief is all about. But because over here, do you understand that only government of India is interested in providing you relief? And why so? Because there is non-cooperation. Why do I say non-cooperation? I say non-cooperation because this is important. Because there is no double taxation avoidance agreement, treaty or convention between the two countries. And even today there are about 80 odd countries with which India does not have a double taxation avoidance agreement, treaty or convention. So when both governments cooperate with each other, they will do an agreement. And we will call that relief as per agreement. Which relief?
Double taxation.
No. Which relief? Bilateral or unilateral? Bilateral. And when both governments do not cooperate with each other, they do not have a DTAA between them, and only government of India comes forward to provide you relief against your Indian tax liability. Foreign tax we cannot do anything. against your Indian tax liability. In that case, the relief that you are getting will be called which relief? Unilateral. In conclusion, when both governments cooperate, that will be bilateral, and when it is only one government of India, it will be unilateral. And thus, bi refers to the number 2 and uni refers to the number 1. And these are the two ways of providing relief only under juridical double taxation. Don't forget, there is no relief under economic double taxation. There is no relief. Understood or no? Relief is going to be provided only under juridical double taxation. Have you understood the meaning of bilateral and unilateral both? Current objective was only to make you understand the two meanings. Now that the meanings are over, we only have to give a heading. Bilateral relief, learn the entire concept in detail. Second heading will be unilateral relief, learn the entire concept in detail, and then congratulations, chapter DTAA, chapter number 2 will be over. Shall we learn the two concepts now in detail? Have you understood the meanings? Fantastic. Bilateral relief is a case where both countries have cooperation with each other, and therefore both countries will enter into an agreement, also known as a treaty or convention, and the full name will be Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, Treaty or Convention. Sir, you wrote a new heading, bilateral relief, and you wrote 3 points so fast. You are not explaining, sir, anything out of these 3 points. Why are you rushing with the portion, sir? These are still early days. You can take a few days extra, but please explain these points. I am rushing with your portion, no? इकडे Arey, these are the same points. Now tell me, when both governments cooperate with each other and do a treaty, which relief is that relief? Bilateral. We have only repeated the meaning points out here. These are the same 3 points that we have already written and discussed above. Now the detailed discussion will start from point D. I hope you are understanding. And I am never in a rush, never in a hurry to complete portion. Okay? Never, never. Because I have already told you my maths here. Extremely slow and extremely fast. The difference will be 5 lectures, maximum 10 lectures. For a matter of 5 to 10. I think if as a student I give you an option that I will go a little peacefully and take 5 days or 10 days extra, or I'll go very fast and finish your portion early. I also know and you also know which option is going to be chosen. What is more appropriate for you? I am not giving you an option. I am going to do what I have decided only. Some are like, no, sir, go fast and finish. No, I did not ask you. I just told you to think about it. Okay? So, relax. Are you with me till here? The 3 points which we have already discussed the meaning. Now, let's take it further from here. Under bilateral relief, both governments are going to cooperate, enter into a treaty, and can I say that enter into a treaty? Can you see the video? Visible here? Okay. And the terms and conditions of providing the relief will be as per the DTAA, will be as per the treaty, will be as per the convention. That means when we talk about calculation of relief, I, if you remember, gave you some possibilities orally. 30 will become 0, or 40 will become 0, or both of them will be reduced to a lower number. That will depend from agreement to agreement. It can never be a fixed rule. There is no global rule that home country will take tax or host country will take tax. You have to go and read that particular agreement. Please listen to the explanation here. We spoke about Mr. Shivam, who was a case of India and Argentina. So if you want to give relief to him from 70, the only treaty that can help you is the treaty between India and Argentina. No other DTAA in the world. I already told you India has approximately 120 treaties. The remaining 119 are of no use. You have to read this treaty because the calculation of relief is going to depend on the treaty. To give you a little more explanation of this, what I am talking about. Supposingly, I have got some American clients. I actually have some American clients. What happened was, one of my past students, May 18 student, he one day messaged me that, sir, I have a friend from US who has got some TDS deducted in India and it's a huge amount. So he wants that TDS refund by doing some filing work, and then there is a form that you have to submit to the bank because the remittance was in foreign currency. So there is a form 15 CA that you have to submit. Sir, can you do this taxation work? I said, most welcome. If somebody is referring a client and asking whether you will do, most welcome. Most welcome. Okay. And the good thing about a CA practice is that the same client will pay you year after year. Okay. So you have to make your base very strong. It might take a few years of gestation. You all know what is gestation? A few years of losses, maybe expenses of office, but not enough clients to build your client base. And once your base is strong, then it's a very, very remunerative thing. Today's generation of kids, unfortunately, are not very much interested in practicing as a chartered accountant. But let me be honest, with the shortage of practicing CAs that I see in the next 5 to 10 years, a good professional is someone who can predict what is going to happen in his profession in the next 5 to 10 years. With the shortage of practicing CAs in the coming future, if you decide to set up a practice today and take a few years to establish it, nothing is going to be more remunerative than that. If you work for a company, you earn 1 crore for the company, then the company will give you a 10 lakh package. Please understand that. Okay. But then at the end of the day, it's a matter of choice. It's basically a matter of your risk appetite. Job gives a security, but then there is no fun. I believe in entrepreneurship. So that is a matter of personal choice. Just my opinion that I shared with you. Okay. So that guy approached me, and initially I was not aware who he was. Then when I got his financial data, I realized that he is a director of Netflix. He comes to India, directs a few movies. As a non-resident, he gets paid, his TDS gets deducted, he leaves, and then later on, we have to file his income tax return. Whatever his tax liability, we have to make him pay that. We had to also check how many days he spent in India to check whether he is a resident or non-resident. Based on that, we had to do his working, and whatever was extra tax deducted, he had mentally left. He thought that whatever got deducted is gone, and out of that 80% I made him. So he went crazy. Sir, you are too good. So much money I got. I thought that I'll not get it back only. Next year he referred to another friend of his with the same nature of work. And then when investigated, I found out that she is an actress who works in some of the web series of Netflix. So that is how CA practice works. One client was satisfied. He referred to one more guy, one female. Today she is very happy. She might refer some more clients. It is very much possible that they have a team working in an entire series. That entire team might probably become our client, and with that, client to client, we can build things. Because they were all Americans. Basically, they are Indians by birth, but staying in America since a lot of years. So they came and earned income in India. For that purpose, we had to sit and study the India-US agreement to check whether India has to take tax or US has to take tax, where exactly this income is going to be taxable. We read through the Indo-US agreement. Now, what if I tell you that if we get more and more clients like that, so again and again we will read Indo-US agreement. In the near future, supposingly we become perfect. Just like I have, the entire Income Tax Act by heart, supposingly I have India-US agreement also by heart, every article, every clause, every line, every provision of Indo-US agreement by heart. Assume. All my knowledge is of absolutely no use if Shivam has approached me for calculation of relief. Do you understand why? Is what I actually want you to understand, that no matter how much in detail I have knowledge of India, US or India, Australia or India, New Zealand or any of these agreements, none of them will help me for giving relief to Shivam, because to give relief to Shivam, the only thing that will work for me is
agreement between India and Australia.
now then do you understand? Given in DTAA and every DTAA is different. The entire story that I gave you is to explain to you this line. Do you understand? Every DTAA in the world is different. India has got 120 DTAAs. If you want to find out, or if you want to become an expert, you will have to go and read all those independently. None of them are same. The calculation given in every DTAA is different from every other DTAA. And thus today, if you want to declare or proclaim yourself as an expert of international tax, you have to go and read those 120 agreements in detail. Are you following? Listen. Listen. Take it as good news or bad news. This is not a part of your syllabus, not a part of your portion. If they make 120 DTAAs a part of your syllabus, a part of your portion, then listen. There is Group 1, FR SFM Audit Law. There is Group 2, Costing, Elective, DTIDT, and then there will be a Group 3, Treaties. 4 papers, 30 treaties per paper. It can never be a part of your portion. Just a small piece of information, none of the treaties are a part of your elective paper also. At least, you know, this is a big mistake that institute has done. They have kept, I already told you, more than 70% portion common. 7 chapters out of 9 in elective paper are common with the DT, and thus we need effort only to teach 2 extra chapters. Correct, no? Instead of keeping so much common portion, they could have actually incorporated at least some important ones, like our neighboring countries where there is a lot of trade. Maybe the agreement between India and China. Maybe agreement between our neighboring country like India, Nepal, or India, Bhutan, or maybe the developed countries like India, US, India, UK. At least where there are frequent transactions by Indians, at least they could have kept those. If not, at least not the all the 120. They could have kept at least some selected, but they have not kept even in the elective paper any of the individual agreements, and consequently we cannot, or we are not required to today go and learn what is the calculation in India, Argentina, or India, Australia, or India, US, or India, UK, or India, New Zealand. We know one thing, that the 70 liability will get reduced to a lower number in all the treaties, but the individual calculation, which is different from agreement to agreement, is not a part of our portion. Are you following? It is not a part of our portion. So then some students are like, wow sir, that means none of the agreements are in portion. That means sir, bilateral is over, let's start unilateral. Even if the individual treaties are not in our portion, there are some common points in every treaty. And even if we are for our exam purposes not required to study any of the individual treaties, we have to still learn these common points. At the end of the day, all the 120 treaties are an agreement between India and the other country. That means 2 governments are involved, and there will definitely be some common points. To make it a little easy, is the calculation in every treaty going to be different? Sometimes home country will leave, sometimes host will leave, sometimes they will reduce their rate. Is the calculation going to be different? Yes. But everybody agrees about this, at least, that every DTAA will have some relief. Whatever be the calculation, let it differ from treaty to treaty, but at least there will be some relief. In all the 120 treaties, at least your 7070 will reduce to a lower number. At least that everybody agrees, no? Every DTAA will give you relief. Calculation is not a part of our portion, but there will be relief. The primary objective of doing a treaty is to provide relief to the assessee. Like this, what other common points you will get to see in the treaty is what we have to study, and once we study that, the bilateral part will get over. Thereafter, we will move on to the unilateral part. Followed? So, very quickly tell me, whenever both governments cooperate with each other and actually enter into an agreement, treaty or convention, then which kind of relief it is called? Bilateral. Where is the calculation of relief given in bilateral relief? In the respective treaty, in the respective DTAA. That means if you want to find out the calculation, you will have to go and read the DTAA, which is not a part of our portion, not to be studied for exam. Tomorrow, if you become a practicing CA and start your practice in international tax field, then it might require you to go and study those treaties independently, but for exam, you don't have to study. So, will we declare the concept of bilateral relief over? No, we will learn the common points. Under common points, what is one thing that you will find in every treaty? The primary objective of doing the treaty? Some relief, whatever be the calculation, but there will be some relief. Likewise, we will learn some more common points. You all understood? We are learning common points in all the treaties. General characteristics, general features of a treaty. Every DTAA will also provide for something called exchange of information and assistance in tax collection. Exchange of information and assistance in tax collection. To explain this second point, I will have to go off topic. When I say off topic, I am not going to discuss when are theaters opening, when will the next movie release, which is the last movie you have seen, how was it. We have not seen any movie in a theater since the last 1.5 years. But of course, seen quite a few movies on Prime. By the way, I belong to that generation who believed that watching a movie means going to a cinema hall with family, watching the movie for 3 hours with a tub of popcorn and coming home. But the last 1.5 years has reduced the age gap between me and you guys. The last 1.5 years, I have watched almost all the web series, the famous ones, whether it is Sacred Games, whether it is Mirzapur, Part 1, Part 2, Inside Edge, and it may be unpopular opinion, but I strongly believe that the web series provided by Amazon Prime are far better than Netflix. Unpopular opinion. Netflix is supposed to be more famous, but I believe Prime is far better. And I know you have not subscribed to any of them. You get everything on Telegram free of cost. I know that also. Okay. Let's. He knows everything here. Okay. So listen. I am not going to discuss all that with you. When I am saying I am going off topic, within income tax, some other chapter. We have a chapter called Recovery Proceedings, which is chapter number 31 in our textbook. Volume 2, second last chapter. Chapter 31. I am doing oral discussion about it. In writing, I will do in that chapter. Recovery Proceedings. Please listen carefully. Very simple thing. It's not that we have not studied that chapter, so we won't understand. You will understand if you listen carefully. Whenever you have any tax liability payable in our country, and you are not paying, your assessing officer will peacefully give you something called a demand notice. Hello? We started discussing about recovery proceedings. So we have a chapter called Recovery Proceedings in our portion, under which whenever there is any tax payable and you are not paying your tax liability, your assessing officer first will give you peacefully something called a demand notice. The concept of demand notice is under assessment procedure, section 156. What is a demand notice? A request. Dear assessee, you have some outstanding money, please pay. A request to pay money. And they give you 30 days. So whenever any tax payable, You get a demand notice, and how much time is given to make payment? 30 days. If you don't pay in 30 days, they will put a stamp on your forehead. Old generation people know. In the decade of 70s, there was a very famous, actually the decade of 70s was the Amitabh Bachchan decade in Bollywood. So, every movie he did was a super hit. He was the biggest superstar in that decade, and he did one of the best movies of Bollywood in the history of Bollywood called Diwar. In the movie Diwar, someone wrote on his hand, Mera Baap Chor hai. Someone wrote on his hand. That same stamp, income tax will put on the forehead of the assessee, and not Baap, it will be for the assessee himself. You are the chore. They will put a stamp called assessee in default. Cut the long story short. If you get a demand notice, you don't make payment within 30 days, you will become an assessee in default. And what is the significance of any assessee being assessee in default? The moment an assessee is declared as assessee in default, your assessing officer will appoint someone called a TRO, Tax Recovery Officer. TRO. I also call him the Vasuli Bhai of Income Tax Department. His job is to recover taxes. You know Vasuli Bhai? Panvel? Forget it. The job of a TRO is to recover taxes. AO's job is to decide your liability. Recovery is the responsibility of TRO. So your TRO will come to your premises. Your TRO will take away your movable property. For what purpose? Not to gift it to his wife, your jewelry or cash. No. For the purpose of recovery or taxes. Your TRO can take away your immovable property. If you don't have anything, you are an absolute bhukananga. Your TRO can take you away. We call it the power to arrest. And he will conduct an auction where he will auction all your assets to recover money. He took away movable, immovable property. He will do an auction. Whenever an assessee is not paying taxes, the tax recovery officer can take away your movable and immovable property for the purpose of recovery of taxes. If you become an assessee in default. So, there is liability. Chronology, please understand. There is liability. You are getting a demand notice, not paying within 30 days. So, you become assessee in default, and then TRO will come and do recovery. Understood how recovery happens in India if people don't pay? But sometimes it is possible that an assessee is a tax defaulter in India and he has got property in a foreign country. Is it possible that defaulter in India but property abroad? You are not paying taxes in India but you have a house in London. Our tax recovery officer cannot go and take over or attach that property in London. He does not have the right to do that. He can only take away your property in India. He cannot take away your property of London. Tell me, are you following? For that, you need permission from the government of UK. And I don't know how many people have this civic knowledge. In our country, police is under the control of state government. So, if there is someone from another state of India, any other state of India, who comes to Maharashtra and commits a crime here, we call them Paraprantiya. They come here and commit any crime and they go away to their respective state. Our Maharashtra police can go to that state only with the permission of that state government. So forget about going to a foreign country. Not possible. So when we do this treaty, first objective was to provide relief to the assessee. Along with providing relief to the assessee, in the treaty we will also write, listen, I am India, you are Argentina. Hi Argentina, say hi India. Say hi India. One thing that we will do in our treaty, we will give relief to the assessee, plus supposingly there is some Indian who acquires property in your country, or there is some citizen of your country who acquires property in my country. We will inform each other about such people. That means, can I say we will exchange information with each other? And plus, if there is any tax defaulter in my country, but he has got assets in your country, please help us to auction, take away his asset, auction the asset. If there are some charges you want to keep, You can keep the charges and remit the balance to India. Help each other in recovery of taxes is also a very, very big aspect which you will find in every DTAA. Listen, your government is taking the trouble of sitting across a table, inviting that other country's head, sitting across a table, negotiating terms so that they are able to provide you relief, that is reduce your tax liability. For the benefit of the assessee, we are doing the treaty. So we will at least keep something for ourselves also, no, as government. And that is exchange of information with the other government and assistance in tax collection. Every DTAA will have this for the benefit of assessee and this for the benefit of the government. Every DTAA. Of course, how much information will be exchanged, what will be exchanged, what will not be exchanged. Argentina cannot ask us, dear India, tell us now, how far can you shoot with your Rafale jet? We cannot give our secret defense information. What information will be given, will not be given. All that will also be as per treaty. Everything will be as per treaty. But every treaty will have primarily two things. What are the two things primarily which you will find in every treaty? Relief and assistance in tax collection. Understood? Exchange of information and assistance in tax collection. When Mr. Jaitley became the finance minister of the country, you know, Mr. Jaitley became the finance minister in 2014 when Modi ji became prime minister for the first time. At that time, he was having defense and finance both. But later on, Chief Minister of Goa was invited, Mr. Manohar Parrikar, to become the defense minister. So he became the defense minister and Mr. Jaitley was only finance minister. But Goa is such a place that people don't like to go. Once you go to Goa, you never feel like coming back. So Mr. Parrikar said, no, I want to go back to Goa. Goa is a place only. The vibe of that place is only such. He said, I am going back. He again became the CM of Goa, and that is when Tai Auntie was first time introduced in the cabinet with such a senior portfolio, defense minister. She became defense minister. So the core team was, Home Minister was Mr. Rajnath Singh, Finance was Mr. Jaitley, Defense was with Auntie, and External Affairs was Sushma ji. But in that, Jaitley ji and Sushma ji passed away. So Mota Bhai was introduced in the core cabinet, and another guy, I don't know, he is not that famous, he is not, he keeps a low profile. He became External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar. These are the four most important portfolios, Home, Defense, Finance and External Affairs. So Mota Bhai is now, they have just shuffled amongst themselves. Rajnath ji became Defense Minister, Mota Bhai became Home Minister. Mota Bhai, you know who I am referring to now. He became Home Minister, External Affairs was Mr. Jaishankar, and then Finance was left and Auntie was left. So no other option. So they gave it to her. When Jaitley ji became the finance minister, he had this common friend. So there is this Jaitley ji, there is this friend, and then there is my father-in-law. My father-in-law has a friend who is also very good friends with Mr. Jaitley, a common friend. So all the plans of Mr. Jaitley, he used to tell this friend. The friend used to tell my father-in-law. And the father-in-law used to tell everything to me. Because just like me, in his family, no one listens to him also. So everything he used to share with me only. That today my friend was saying that Mr. Jaitley has told him this. So understand the flow of communication. Mr. Jaitley to friend, friend to father-in-law, and father-in-law to me, and I am telling you that. He said, I am very soon going to bring a system in India where if any Indian goes to a foreign country, sits in a restaurant and orders a coffee of $10, the moment you make that payment, swipe. Every time you swipe your credit card or debit card, immediately you get an SMS on your mobile, no? Your account has been debited. Our government will get a real-time live notification. Means we will not wait for the year to get over and then that country will provide us information. No, real-time live information will be given. Real-time live information. Are you following? So Mr. Jaitley told this to him. He told him, he told me, we were together sitting and laughing at him. Rubbish. And you know what I am doing, even my mother does not know. You know, you have all done something in life which even your parents don't know. Tell me yes or no. Your smiles tell me everything. Something in your life which even your parents. Today, if my mother opens my cupboard, no, she will throw me out of my house. No, don't start getting stupid ideas. I have a lot of old vintage stuff in my cupboard, and my mom does not like old stuff. She's like, if you don't need things, you should throw. Don't unnecessarily block space in the house. I am talking about that, but I like the way you thought. Okay. Today, if she opens my cupboard, she will throw me out of the house. So you are wondering, sir, what I am doing? My parents also don't know anything. Mr. Jaitley is saying that I will pay for a coffee of $10 in a foreign restaurant, and he will get the information. Anything rubbish. Listen, we found it funny initially, but that system has started. Please listen to what I am saying. Okay. You have gone to a foreign country, that means you need a passport. In the good old days when we used to make passports, there used to be a long requirement of documents. PAN card, light bill, phone bill, driving license, voter ID, they used to ask about just about everything. And birth certificate, school leaving certificate. For people under the age of 50, they used to ask for birth certificate or school leaving certificate. Long checklist. And even one document is missing, then making a passport very difficult. At least this system was changed in the Modi era, where only one document is required. Aadhaar card. I am not taking support of Mr. Modi. Whenever I have to criticize, I am the first person to criticize. But neither I am a blind bhakt, nor I am a blind opposer. I support whatever required support and I oppose whatever. That is how democracy works. You can't hate Modi for everything. You can't love Modi for everything. One good thing done in the Modi era was that when people say that Modi used to say that Modi used to criticize Aadhaar card when he was in opposition. He always opposed Aadhaar card. And when he has come in government, he is saying Aadhaar card for everything. Because there was one defect in the Congress scheme of Aadhaar card. In Congress scheme, if you have Aadhaar card, you still require PAN card, voter ID, light bill, phone bill for everything. But in the Modi era, this Aadhaar card is good enough for everything. Get a phone connection with Aadhaar card. Open bank account with Aadhaar card. In fact, they are removing the requirement of PAN also. Today, you can file your income tax return without PAN. Only Aadhaar, if the portal will work. Only when the portal will work. You can file your return with Aadhaar without PAN. You can renew your passport only with Aadhaar. You don't need anything else. Do you know that? Those of you all who have made their passport in the recent past are probably aware of that. No other document required. Only one document, Aadhaar card. So Mr. Modi said, if you want to make something called a unique ID, it has to be unique. Even with Aadhaar card, if you are asking for all the documents, then what is the uniqueness of Aadhaar? That's the difference. So he deserves appreciation with respect to this. But we will criticize him when the time comes. If ever we discuss petrol rates, we will definitely criticize. Don't worry about that. Okay. Let's come to the point. The point is, passport is thus linked with Aadhaar now. As and when people are making or renewing their passports, it is linked with Aadhaar. And every Aadhaar is linked with PAN. Understand the connection here. Understand the ripple effect. With passport we know Aadhaar. With Aadhaar we know PAN. A gentleman is paying $10 for a coffee outside India, and here he is showing income below the basic exemption limit. Hashtag Thug Life. How is that possible? That will create red flags in the system. Red flag means an alert, a warning that this assessee requires detailed checking. Everything will be done in a computerized environment. Okay? And when Mr. Modi is traveling across the world, country after country, every time he is on a foreign trip only. And that day when Mr. Modi again starts his foreign trips, remember COVID-19 is over. We are just waiting for his foreign trip to resume. In COVID also, he has been already to Bangladesh. I think that's the only country that he has visited in the last 1.5 years. That was also because of West Bengal elections. Okay. Let's not get into that discussion. Point is that he is going worldwide and he is making friends with the world leaders and just telling them one thing. If an Indian is coming to your country and spending a single penny in your country, please give us the passport number of that Indian with the amount. If an Indian is spending anything, whether expenditure, investment, picnic, holiday, education, everything, just give us what? passport number. From the passport number we will find out Aadhaar, and from the Aadhaar we will find out PAN, and from the PAN we will find out the income declared by the SSC, and that will help us to do this. That is where we will require cooperation of the other government, and that is what we will find in every DTAA. Every DTAA will have two things for sure, 100%, pakka, every DTAA will have these two things. One, there will be relief. Calculation may be different, but there will be relief. And second, there will be exchange of information and assistance in tax collection. If you want in-depth English, assistance in collection of share of fair and legitimate tax. Assistance in tax collection. Good enough. Good enough. Every DTAA will have two things, relief and exchange of information with assistance in tax collection. Understood? There are some more similar common points which we have to learn under bilateral relief, and once we do that, we can move on to the concept of unilateral relief. Let's go ahead. Next point. We are under which relief currently in the chapter? Bilateral. Under bilateral, individual treaties are not in our portion, but we are learning the common points. I hope everybody is with me in that much. With me in the class. Okay. Chalo. Let's go ahead. Let's go to point F. Point F. Next point. When we say we will have relief, globally there are two methods of providing relief. Relief under bilateral can be provided with something called the tax credit method, and relief can be provided with something called the tax exemption method. What are the two methods of providing relief from double taxation worldwide? Tax credit method and tax exemption method. Two ways of providing relief, tax credit method and tax exemption method. I am going to give you the meanings of both these concepts one by one. So under tax credit method, I will give you the meaning of tax credit, and under tax exemption method, I will give you the meaning of tax exemption. Okay. With the help of examples, both will be clear, and then we will have more discussion. First objective is going to be learning the meaning. Once we learn the meaning, we will have further discussion. Okay. So let's talk about tax credit method first. Under the tax credit method, both governments will charge tax. Under the tax credit method, both governments will charge tax, but one will give you credit of tax paid in other. Both governments will charge tax, but one will give you credit of the tax that you have paid in the other. Let me discuss this with the help of examples. So if you have examples, you will be in a better position to understand what is happening. Let's take our example only. Okay. Try to recollect, what was the tax liability in India? 30. What was the tax liability in Argentina?
40.
Let's take two examples. Example 1, Argentina gives credit. Example 1, Argentina gives credit. So then what will happen? What is your tax liability in India? Pay that full 30. Tax liability in India will be fully paid. And then go to Argentina. What was your tax liability in Argentina in case there was no relief?
40.
But it has been decided that Argentina will give you credit. So Argentina will give you credit of that tax which you have paid in India. And how much is that tax that you have paid in India? 30. In effect, it will take only 10. In effect, it will take only 10. So now I want to ask you one thing. Look at the example 1 and tell me, have both governments taken tax from you? Yes. But Argentina has given you credit. So ultimately and effectively the total tax that you will end up paying is going to be, which is still lower than 70. Our objective of reducing the total tax liability to a lower number has been fulfilled. Have you understood this? Now look at the definition. Are both governments taking tax? But one is giving you credit of the tax that you have paid in the other. This is the method called the tax credit method. This method will be called the tax credit method. And let me then also give you the second example. Let us assume in example 2, this time India gives credit. Last time Argentina gave credit, no? This time India gives credit. So what is your tax liability in Argentina this time, which will be fully payable?
40.
What is your tax liability in India normally?
30.
30. But it has been decided that India is going to give you credit of what you paid in the other country. By the way, what is the tax that you have paid in the other country?
40.
But obviously, you have brains. Not brains, you have common sense. Common sense you have. The maximum credit that you will be getting is going to be only 30. It cannot be a case where you say that I will pay 40 in Argentina and Indian AO will give you relief of 40 and you tell that AO, sir, you give me 10 from your pocket. At best, you don't pay any tax in India, but you of course cannot make it negative, no? Hello? And thus, there will be no tax. This is your concept called tax credit method, where tax will be taken by both countries, but one of them will give you credit of the tax that you have paid in the other country. Correct? Now I would like to ask you a question which will require you to use your brain. So please pay attention and answer this question. Okay. I took one example in which Argentina gave credit. I gave you the calculation. I took the second example in which India gave credit. I gave you the calculation. With the two examples, you've understood the meaning of tax credit method. But ultimately, these two were examples. In real life, in reality, actually who will give credit? India or Argentina? These were only examples. Actual credit will be given by which country? I want you to answer this. What do you think? Who will actually give credit? Forget the example. I'm talking about real life. Who will give credit? India or Argentina? Those who think India will unmute themselves for a second. Shout loudly, India, and mute again. Now,
India.
those who think Argentina will unmute themselves and shout loudly, Argentina. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I have bad news for you. The truth is, go and read the treaty to find out who will give credit, India or Argentina. It cannot be home country. It cannot be host country. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be given in the treaty. We just have to learn the common points. The common point is one of them will give credit. If they are following the tax credit method, one of them will give credit. If they are following the tax credit method, one of them will give credit. But who will give credit? That will depend on the treaty. Have you understood? And the second method is very easy. Very easy. One country will charge tax and the other country exempts your tax altogether. Very easy. Tax exemption method is very easy. One will take, other will leave. Here what is happening? Both are taking, but one is giving credit. Here only one will take, other will not take only anything. Very easy. First, supposingly Argentina exempts. Then all you are required to do is, no need to pay anything in Argentina. Go and pay your Indian tax liability. What is your Indian tax liability? Pay 30, finished. An example 2. Supposingly India exempts. You tell me if you have understood the tax exemption method. It is very easy. What will happen if you tell me? I will get convinced that you are following, you are listening to what is happening in class. What do you think will happen if India exempts? Go and pay your Argentina tax liability of 40. Finished. One is taking, other is not taking at all. This is easier to understand. So under the tax credit method, both will take tax, but one will give credit. The moment you get credit, your liability reduces. And under tax exemption, one will take, other won't take only. So good enough, no? Again, you are getting benefit. At the end of the day, whether tax credit or tax exemption, are we successfully reducing the tax liability of the assessee from 7070 to a lower number? Now answer this question. I gave you 2 examples. Example 1, Argentina exempts. Example 2, India exempts. In real life, who will exempt? India or Argentina? Given in the DTAA. Very clever this time. So, who will give credit will depend on treaty. The DTAA, the treaty. Who will give exemption will depend on the treaty, the DTAA. Last question. Please focus. I right now taught you 2 methods, tax credit method and tax exemption method. These are only possibilities. Actual, real life, actual case, which method will be followed? Tax credit method or tax exemption method? That will also be given in the treaty. Which method to follow? Tax credit or tax exemption will be as per treaty. Which country will give credit will be as per treaty if credit method is being followed. Which country will give exemption will be as per treaty if exemption method will be followed. Everything will be based on what is given, what is written in the treaty. Strictly based on what is given in the treaty. Here we are only learning the common points. Are you understanding now? Very good. We'll continue with the common points. We are still under bilateral relief, but we have understood one thing for sure, that majorly bilateral relief, majorly will depend from treaty to treaty. These common points are just general rules and regulations, general characteristics of treaty. Next comes a very, very important point to understand, and this concept will come again and again in lot of chapters. The provisions of DTAA, that means, can I say any treaty which India has entered into, are optional. The provisions of DTAA are optional. Means supposingly if there is a treaty between India and Argentina, for Shivam it is not compulsory to take the treaty. It is optional. Shivam is comfortable with Income Tax Act. You can take Income Tax Act also. It is not necessary to take treaty. Now, whether you are able to interpret this point or no, I want to know that from you. See if you are understanding the interpretation. It means that any assessee will pay tax as per the Income Tax Act or as per the treaty. You can pay any of them. You have an option. Think about it. Whenever an assessee has an option between two things, like old regime and new regime, whenever you have an option between two, which one will you choose? Obviously, wherever we have higher tax, CAs are partners in nation building. Anything that is beneficial. And beneficial, some people said beneficial, some people said lower. Think about it, it is the same thing, no? Lower only is beneficial, no? Hello. The line that we have written here is this only. Do you understand the line and the meaning of that line? That taking the provision of DTAA is optional. See if you understand my next sentence. Pay attention, listen to it carefully. That means if the provision of Income Tax Act is more beneficial compared to the treaty, can I pay tax as per the Income Tax Act also, or taking treaty is mandatory, compulsory? You can take act also, treaty is not mandatory, not compulsory, it is optional. Sir, we understood the points. Ultimately, act or treaty, whichever is beneficial. Sir, we understood the point, sir. But sir, how can you be so stupid? You have been continuously telling us that the main purpose, main objective, the reason why we are doing the treaty, every treaty will definitely have something called relief. And thus, sir, the tax liability as per treaty will always be lower only. Because the treaty is being done only for that. And if treaty is always lower, then by default people will take treaty only, no? Because treaty is created for providing relief. So what does common sense say? That the tax liability in the treaty has to be always lower only, no? I'll here only today itself prove it to you that it is possible that sometimes Income Tax Act is beneficial compared to treaty. Sometimes it is possible that the act is beneficial. I'll prove it to you, and I'll prove it to you right now. You have the willingness to listen to me. You have the patience to listen to me. Okay. As enforced already, if more than 5 minutes any video is off, the students are being put in the waiting room. And if twice you do that, some people are very clever. They leave the waiting room and they log in again. Then I will do remove from meet. I am purposely not doing remove from meet. Why? Because if I remove, then you can't log in with the same device again. You are banned. Removal means banned. So only twice I will put in the waiting room. Third time I will directly remove. Rules are rules. Rules are common for everyone. I'll do one thing. I'll stop my video and only talk on audio. And some of you all are not doing that also. I'll just open a screen and share the screen. That's it. You will not be comfortable with that. I want a class to be a class. So rules are not going to change for everyone. Let me be very, very clear. I am not interested in what your problem is. You all are CA final students. I don't need to tell this again and again. So right now, pay attention, focus please. I will prove it to you. Sometimes your Income Tax Act is beneficial. If I prove that to you that act is beneficial, then this line will make sense. As of now, the difficulty is not understanding this line. Everybody understood. Wherever I get lower tax, I can choose that. It is optional. The difficulty is, sir, how can act be beneficial? Because a treaty was created only to reduce tax, no? Hello? The difficulty is understanding that. How can act be beneficial? I will prove it to you. Ready? Supposingly, you are earning income in a foreign country, 5 crore rupees. You are earning income in a foreign country, 5 crore rupees. Obviously, if you are a resident, that 5 crore rupees will be taxable in India also. And at the slab rates, can I say after 10 lakh 30%, or whether new regime also, then also after 15 lakh 30%? Definitely you fall in 30% bracket, plus a heavy rate of surcharge and cess also will be applicable to you. And that foreign country will also take tax, being the host country, principle of source. Thus, there is a treaty between the two countries that if the income has been taxed in both countries, then India will levy only 5% tax. That means, can I say the tax liability as per normal provisions will be at 30%? And the tax liability as per treaty will be only 5%. You are understanding this example? What is beneficial, act or treaty? Obviously, the treaty is prescribing a lower rate of tax. Obviously, treaty is beneficial, no sir? And that was the whole reason, the purpose, the objective of doing the treaty, that we want to provide relief to the assessee, and thus we have reduced the rate from 30% to 5%. That means, can I say assessee will pay tax as per treaty? Sir, then how does it prove what you have written? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Just one line will finish it off now. This income was 5 crore, no? So you were acting smart with me. What if the income is not 5 crore but only 50,000? This time the foreign income is not 5 crore, it is only, come on. In that case, the treaty is still providing 5%. Treaty is not giving any differential rate. 5% tax. Whether 5 crore or 50,000, 5% tax. Now tell me if you pay tax as per normal provisions.
No tax.
Why no tax?
Basically,
I think I have proved what I wanted to. I think I have successfully done it. Followed, no? If you want to mention that example in short, if foreign income is below basic exemption, then rate as per treaty will result in higher liability. Then we will pay as per normal provisions. Ladies and gentlemen, have you understood? So sometimes act can be beneficial, and in that case, what will be applicable? Act or treaty? Whichever is beneficial. If the act is beneficial, we will take the act, of course. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead. We are still under the concept of bilateral relief. We are still learning the common points under the concept of bilateral relief. Common points. Everybody is with me? Chalo. Next point. Every DTAA in the world will have something called Non-Discrimination Clause. Non-discrimination. Supposingly a treaty between India and Germany. I India, you Germany. I India, you Germany. Hi Germany.
Hi.
Say hi India.
Hi, India.
Let's do a treaty. In that treaty, we will promise each other. Pay attention, understand the concept, please. Pay attention. Listen, Germany. Today that we are doing a treaty with you, we promise that we will not tax Germans at a higher rate than Indians. We will not discriminate against your people. And you also make that same promise. Germany will not tax Indians higher than Germans. You will not discriminate against Indians. India will not discriminate against Germans. Germans will not discriminate against Indians. Non-discrimination means, listen, tax rate of NR. That means, can I say, in India we are referring to Germans, in Germany we are referring to Indians? The tax rate of NR will not be higher than the tax rate of residents. That's a promise which both countries will make to each other at the time of entering into the treaty. Both countries are giving each other a promise. Well, bro, I am not going to distinguish against your people, bro. I am not going to tax your people more than my people. Tax rate of NR will not be higher than resident. Understood what is non-discrimination? This is something that you will find in almost every treaty in the world. But as a disclaimer, now this is important because there is a question on ICAI study material on this. And by the way, I have already told you, every question of ICAI study material is incorporated in our book. If you do the questions of our book, you will realize that entire ICAI study material is covered. If at all you want to do extra, I have told you again, I don't want to sound repetitive, but if you want to do anything extra, 4 RTPs and at least 2 mock test paper. Mock test paper will be You can take from institute, you can take from anywhere, but minimum 4 RTPs you should do. And from RTP also most of the questions you will find will be covered only, but there may be some question which is not covered, but study material is fully covered. So what was that question? They have clarified what is non-discrimination clause. Have you understood that we will not levy tax on your people more than our people? That is non-discrimination. But this provision will not be applicable to corporate assessee. Corporate assessee means this facility will not be available to foreign company. Or you may put it this way. In India, the tax rate of foreign company, I know. We have not studied tax rates of firms and companies. Firms I told you in firms chapter, and companies I told you in companies chapter. Math we will be doing. Hello? I am not teaching you, I am telling you. In India, the income tax rate of foreign companies is 40%. I am not teaching, I am just informing you. 40%. Which is higher than the tax rate of domestic company. Domestic company in India pays 30%, sometimes 25%, sometimes 22%, sometimes 15%. There are 4 different income tax rates. 4 different income tax rates of domestic companies. But do you understand? All 4 are lesser than foreign company, or can I say foreign company income tax rate is always higher than domestic company income tax rate? This will be allowed because the benefit of non-discrimination will be given. The benefit of non-discrimination will be given only to a non-corporate assessee. A corporate assessee, a foreign company, will never be allowed to avail the benefit of non-discrimination. Non-discrimination benefit will be given only to Mitro whom? Non-corporate assessee. Foreign company paying higher tax is not discrimination only. We will never give you the benefit of non-discrimination. Okay. So, have you understood what is non-discrimination? We will not tax your people higher than our people. That's a promise. And also the fact that this is not going to be applicable to. Come on. Foreign company will pay higher tax. Non-discrimination facility not available. Next point. Still under bilateral relief. Now hardly 2-3 points are left. We are near completion of bilateral, and once we get done with bilateral, we peacefully move on to unilateral relief. Next point. Point I. This was introduced in income tax last year only. This is not important for from exam point of view, but practical life, practical applicability of income tax, direct tax, DTAA, a very, very important concept for practical applicability of taxation. Very important concept. Okay. Misuse prevention. By whom? By residents of third countries. Misuse prevention by resident of third countries. Me India, you Germany. Hi Germany. Chalo, let's do a treaty, bro. Earlier we used to shake hands. Now we do a fist pump. Hi Germany, hi India. We have done a treaty. That means, can I say Indians will be able to and Germans will be able to avail the benefit of treaty between India and Germany? You have sense, common sense. Who gets benefit of India-Germany treaty? Indians and Germans. And Australians also. Yes or no? हाँ बोलता है कोई. Australians will get benefit of India-Germany treaty. I am asking you. No. Who will get benefit of the treaty? Indians and Germans. Australians will not be getting the benefit of treaty between India and Germany. Correct? Now listen. Supposingly Nafis is an Australian. He read the treaty between India and Germany. He's like, wow, very nice treaty, good tax benefit. He wants to take that benefit. Is he eligible? No. He puts a mask on his face. And he becomes a German. You know how Nafis becomes German? By taking an office on rent in Germany. He is going and asking a real estate agent in Germany, tell me what is the cheapest area in your country? Lowest price of real estate. In that, a small office of 40, 50, 80 square feet, 100 square feet. A ridiculously low. वैसे भी, in any case, I have to keep that office locked only. I am never going to come in Germany. I am taking that office only as an address proof of Germany. That I can show anybody, see, I have an office in Germany. For that, he takes office in Germany only for that purpose and now tells the whole world, I am German. Well, how? I have office in Germany. Australians are anyways born cheaters, no? He did that. Tell me, is he mad? Is he crazy? He is peacefully sitting in his country, Australia. Why is he unnecessarily incurring this rental expense on an office in Germany? An office which he is never going to use, it is always going to be locked. Why is he unnecessarily incurring this expenditure? Take a guess and you will be right. Why do you think he is doing it?
He'll be billing it from that reference.
And consequently, he'll claim to be a German and avail the benefit of India-Germany treaty, which normally Australians are not allowed. Are you following? Look at the brains of people and look at how big the concept of international tax is. Sky is the limit. Even sky is not the limit, let me be honest. If you get an expert knowledge or if you develop some expert knowledge in at least 5-10 treaties, popular ones across the world, not a lot of people have got such knowledge. And everybody will want you. Everybody will want you. Okay? And simple demand supply rule. That if everybody wants you, you are only one, supply is limited. Demand is very high because very few people have got knowledge of multiple tax treaties. People don't have knowledge of one treaty also. When demand is high and supply is less, price?
Increases.
You are doing CA with thousands of others. It is a professional degree. There are already 350,000 chartered accountants in the country. Obviously, we have a statutory power. We can sign at places where even the Prime Minister cannot. And I am not saying this. He said it. Prime Minister himself in a seminar that your signature is more powerful than the signature of the Prime Minister. He said it. Next time when you get this feeling, 5 years of my life I have wasted. No personal life, no family life, nothing. Whole world was celebrating on Ludo. They were playing family games. They were doing what? Task-based games in the lockdown. And at that time also we had online classes. Everybody enjoyed the first lockdown. A celebration of 2 months. We did not have anything. After a few years, you will have everything. They won't have anything. Your signature, that day when you get demotivated, no? Just remember one thing. Your signature is more powerful than the Prime Minister. And I am not saying that. Prime Minister himself said it. Always remember this. Why CA is better than any other course. Any other course in commerce. Of course, recent past says that these foreign courses like CMA, ACCA, Big Four is hiring UK CMA or ACCA or CPA qualified people at a higher salary than Indian chartered accountants, and their passing percentage is also very high. More than 50-60% is the passing percentage. If you want a peaceful life and more salary, you have that option. But they cannot sign anywhere. They have got no respect. They have got no statutory power. What a C. And actually, think about it. If you are sitting in a group of 15-20 people and you tell them that I am a chartered accountant, the richest businessman will get less respect compared to you for your knowledge. Think about it. Okay. So, coming back to the point. He has opened an office in Germany. I am repeating this point. Pay attention. Nafis is an Australian. He is obviously not eligible for the benefit of India-Germany treaty. But he has opened an office in Germany only for what purpose? So that he can show an ID proof, an address proof of Germany, claim to be a German and thus avail the tax benefit of India-Germany treaty. Can I say he is misusing India-Germany treaty by opening this office? And that requires knowledge of international tax. But he has knowledge and he is using it. Now our government has created a provision stating that we will not allow this misuse by resident of third country. So listen, all the assessing officers of the country. Listen, everyone. Whenever an assessee is claiming any DTAA benefit, before you give that benefit, please investigate. Is he an assessee of one of these two countries, India and Germany? It should not be a case where the assessee is actually a resident of a third country. He is only putting a mask of either India or Germany by opening a fake office, a dummy office, an office which is never being used, only for the purpose of showing an address proof and claiming the benefit. If you find out that with investigation, then you deny the tax benefit, Mr. Assessing Officer, is the instruction given by government under this point, that we will not allow misuse of treaties by residents of third countries. Now clear? Understood the point, everyone? Misuse provision means residents of third countries will not be allowed to take unfair benefit of the treaty. Clear, everyone?
So was this point made out that because of that Vodafone case, Vodafone information stack thing, or
Actually, Vodafone was only famous. It is a high profile case and the amount involved is massive, and the retrospective amendment done by the government created all the hassle. That is the reason where people are discussing more about Vodafone. But there are a lot of other low profile assessees also who don't come into public eyes, but who are doing same thing what Vodafone did. And this is not just one off case. Multiple countries, multiple assessees, multiple companies did it, and consequently government introduced this. Okay. So earlier we used to write in the treaty. So India, Germany in treaty we are writing that we will not give benefit to resident of third country. But to write anything in the treaty, both governments have to agree, no? Anything can be written in the treaty only when both governments have agreed. At least you agree with that? Come on.
yes, sir.
You agree with the fact that anything can be written in the treaty only when both governments have agreed?
Yes, sir.
So now our government of India does not want to depend on government of Germany. They are like, whether Germany allows to write in treaty or no, we are writing in our income tax act only that third country residents will not be allowed to take benefit of any treaty by falsely claiming to be a resident of one of these two countries. And we will do proper investigation before providing any such relief. By the way, in the Vodafone case, the government has taken back step already. I don't know how many people follow news, follow things. Vodafone share, which was at about 5 or 6 rupees, worth buying, and now it has crossed 7-8 rupees. Now you are wondering, sir, kya 2-3 rupiya ke liye bhikari you are? But no, at 5 rupees you can take 10,000 shares also, it will be 50,000. And when 10,000 shares increase by 2 or 3 rupees also, that's a profit of 30,000 in a very short term. I hope you understand that's your annual stipend, 30,000, 2,500 into 12. I hope you understand. Okay. So such short term profits, most welcome. Let's go ahead. Next point, bilateral relief, almost near completion, about to get over. Now our government will also enter into something called TIEA. Till now our government was doing what? DTAA. You know the full form of DTAA, Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, Treaty Convention. You know what is a DTAA? Agreement between two governments to provide relief. Now, along with DTAA, we will also do TIE. I'll give you the full form first. Tax Information Exchange Agreement. Tax Information Exchange Agreement. Our government will also do TIA. Sir, what is this TIA? Listen, let's take India as an example. Does India have income tax? And the other country, let's take UAE, Dubai. There is no income tax in Dubai. You know that? If you don't know, I am telling you, there is no income tax. Till now, we were talking about India, Argentina, both countries have income tax. India, we took example of India, Germany, or India, Australia, maybe they all have income tax. But this time we are dealing with a country which does not have income tax. That means whatever be the income of the assessee, one thing is for sure, Dubai will never take tax. If at all there will be any tax, who will take tax? Only one country. Which country? India. In such a case, please understand, there can never be double taxation. Do you understand that? There can never be double taxation, because whatever be the income tax rate in India, that other country is not having only tax, no? No problem. Then answer this question. Does it make sense to have a DTAA with such a country? Double taxation. When there is no double taxation only. Why is there no double taxation? Because that country does not have tax. When there is no double taxation only, obviously there cannot be any DTAA. Should we be friends with such countries, or it's okay to not be friends? A country which does not have income tax, there is no double taxation. So should we have a friendship with such a country? Every time you meet a Gujju businessman, he will say, shake hands and say, Saheb dhando thaye ke na thaye sabandh mahatva na che. Don't worry, I'll translate. He says, whether we do business with each other or we don't do business with each other, relation is more important. He does not mean it, by the way. He does not mean it. He just says relation is more important. We want to maintain good relations. Even if Dubai does not have income tax, we still want to be friends with Dubai. Why, sir? Sir, supposingly there is some Indian assessee who is assessing in default and he has got assets, property in Dubai. At least Dubai will help us to do recovery. Remember, there were two things in every DTAA: relief and exchange of information. Relief, there is no question, because Dubai does not have income tax. There is no double taxation. So there is no question of relief. But we still need information, no? Is that required or not required? Yes. So we want to do friendship with that country. Now you will say, sir, theek hai. India still has an advantage that if it is doing friendship, it will get information. Sir, what is the advantage of Dubai in doing this? India will get information, but Dubai does not have income tax. What is Dubai's benefit? I have to tell you that also, no? If you want common sense, complete learning. Sir, listen. Dubai may not have income tax, but it is very much possible that Dubai has got another crime. Say sale of drugs may be a very big crime in Dubai. Any kind of drug. So is it possible that a drug dealer who has done any crime in Dubai is hiding in India? Is it possible? Who is the biggest drug dealer in the world? Some people say that guy Narcos. What was the name of that guy?
Escobar.
Pablo Escobar. Biggest drug dealer in the world. Some say that he died, I think, in the 80s ka decade or something. But even to 90s, even today in his country, if you dig, currency notes coming out even today. On that, I think Netflix has made a very, very big web series, no? Narcos, very popular, no? I watch actually only Hindi web series. I watch only Indian web series because Modi ji said no, Atmanirbhar. So only Indian web series. Let's talk about Indian drug dealer. Everybody knows Kachra Set. Come on, you cannot not, if you don't know Kachra Set, no, that means you have got big common sense problem. You don't have general knowledge only then. You don't know Kachra Set. 150 rupiya. I am talking about Kachra Set. Drug dealer. Supposingly he sold drugs in Dubai. It's a big crime over there. So India can help Dubai in identifying Kachra Set, identifying his location, maybe arresting him and handing over to the Dubai government. We need help for that. No, we need not provide any relief. Why we don't need any relief? Because there is no double taxation. But we need exchange of information, and with countries which don't have income tax, we will not have DTAA, we will have TIEA, Tax Information Exchange Agreement. Now understood what is the idea, logic behind TIEA, and with which we come to the last part of bilateral relief. At this stage, bilateral will get over. We move to unilateral chapter will also get over. Last part, the concept of TRC, tax residency certificate. Concept of TRC, tax residency certificate. It's a big point. So if I write also, you are only going to copy. I'll do one thing. I'll dictate. You write. No problem in the sound. No, mic is working properly. No, I'll dictate. You write. And those who are sitting and enjoying the show, just sit and relax. With video on. Just relax. Just enjoy the show. Or just listen to what I'm saying. Start. Everybody ready? If double taxation relief is claimed, if double taxation relief is claimed by virtue of being a resident of a foreign country, by virtue of being a resident of a foreign country, it is compulsory to obtain, it is compulsory to obtain a TRC, a TRC, you know the full form, no? A TRC from that country. It is compulsory to obtain a TRC from that country. If double taxation relief is claimed by virtue of being a resident of a foreign country, it is compulsory to obtain a TRC from that country. Let me explain what is happening exactly out. Globally, there are two principles, residence and source. Home country residence, host country source. As per treaty, one of them will take tax, other will leave tax. And of course, it will depend from treaty to treaty. All those concepts you have understood till now? Now pay attention, please. There is a treaty under which home country will take tax. This point is applicable. This point is applicable only in cases where this point is applicable. Only in cases where home country will take tax. Home country will take tax. And that means which country has to leave tax? Host country. That means residence will apply and source will go away. Only in such cases. Understand what is happening. There is a person who is resident of another country and has source in India. So that other country is home country, India is the host country. And as per treaty, that country has to take tax. In our example, home country will take tax. This point is applicable only when home country will take tax. That means who has to leave tax? Which is India in our case. So this assessee is telling the Indian government, sir, I have paid tax in that country. And thus India is my source country. And as per a treaty, India, you cannot take tax because you are the host country. I think what the assessee is saying makes sense because government has done this treaty. So as treaty obligation, government has to honor the treaty and leave the tax. So Indian government decides to leave the tax. That is basically honoring the treaty that we have entered. But on what understanding? That you are a resident of that other country and you have paid tax in that other country. And that is the reason why we are honoring our treaty duty and we are not taking tax from you. You understood, no? This assessee is very clever. Hashtag Thug Life. Just like India has got a criteria, no? If you spend 182 days, then only you become a resident. Or 60 days in the current year and 365 days in the last 4 years, then only you become a resident. There is some criteria. And relax if you don't know the criteria, because residential status, yes, I know you are a CA final student. And you may take it as an insult. Lord, you will teach us residential status. You think we are idiots? We don't know residential status. Yes, I think. Because first of all, last year, a big amendment took place in residential status chapter. Massive amendment. Anyways, it was not a part of your intermediate portion because the amendment came last year. So it is in your interest that you peacefully learn what I am teaching. I know what is relevant, what is not relevant. I have got 11 years and the best results in the country with me. You just have to follow what I am saying in your interest. Okay. I will be teaching. But orally, can I say right now that there is some criteria to become resident? Some number of days? The similar criteria is there in every country. It may not be same, but similar criteria. This clever assessee is spreading over his 365 days in such a way he is spending some days in India, some days in Germany, some days in Australia, some days in some other country, and he is becoming non-resident everywhere. Very clever guy. And for this also you need a perfect consultant who can give you the exact date on which you should book the ticket and leave the country. Exact planning of your entire calendar in a way that you become non-resident everywhere. So listen, what is this guy coming and telling Indian government? Sir, I am non-resident here, so I will not pay tax. I will pay tax in my home country because that is written in the treaty. And in that other country also he is saying the same thing. Sir, I am non-resident here. I will pay tax in my home country. He is becoming a non-resident everywhere and not paying tax anywhere. Understood what the assessee did? Thug life. Purposely becoming non-resident everywhere so that he does not have to pay tax. Government of India came to know about this and thus they incorporated this condition that if you are saying that I have become a resident in some other country and you want us to leave your tax, we will leave it because that is our treaty obligation, we will honor it. But provided you get it in writing from that government that this fellow has become a resident in our country, he has paid tax in our country. So dear India, as per treaty, you don't take tax. You have to bring it in writing from that government. Only then we will accept that you have paid tax in the other country and honor our treaty obligation and we will not take tax. Means India is willing to honor the treaty provided you prove that genuinely you have become a resident in some other country. If you get it in writing, then only we will give you treaty benefit. Otherwise, we will not give you treaty benefit. Now read the line that you have written. If you are claiming the benefit by becoming resident of a foreign country, will we give you the treaty benefit? Yes, most willingly. But provided you bring, tell me what? What do you bring? A tax residency certificate. You have to bring that certificate from that country. Understood? Understanding is actually easy. We did one full example. Understanding is very easy. Problem is implementation. Think about it. There will be so many assessees, thousands of assessees who have paid tax, actually genuinely paid tax in the foreign country by becoming a resident over there. There were only a handful people who were trying to act clever and becoming non-resident everywhere. Most people don't have such good consultants and actually they have paid tax in the foreign country. That means are they genuinely eligible for treaty benefit? But now our government will give that benefit only if you bring TRC. If you don't bring TRC, we will not give you that benefit. What if that government does not provide? That government is like, what the hell? What do you think? I am a servant of what? Today India is saying bring TRC. Tomorrow India will ask for another certificate. Then I am not giving anything. Get lost. Pora. Get lost. I am not giving you anything. Get lost. Just imagine even the genuine assessees are going to suffer here because without TRC, no tax benefit will be available. Without TRC, we will not give you any relief. Have you understood what the meaning of TRC is? Meaning is easy, but practical implementation by assessees will be very difficult because without TRC, relief is not going to be provided. With this, tax resident. India has residential status now. Likewise, every country will have residential status. So if you are saying that I have become resident over there, that means that is my home country. So I will pay tax over there. So you prove it. How will you prove it? By bringing the TRC. Now understood? Hello? Fantastic. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we reach that stage of our life where we are done with the first concept of the chapter, that is bilateral relief. A small piece of information. Anybody having anda tomato at their home, eggs and tomatoes? You know, whenever we attend any performance, we don't like the performance, then we throw on the performer if we are not liking his performance. Today also you can throw on the screen. You can throw anda tomato on your laptop, on your mobile, whichever device you are watching. You will get very angry with what I will now say. In anger, if you want, break your phone only, break your laptop, break it. If you are angry with what I say, the truth is, bilateral relief will not come in exam. If there are 100 questions in DTAA chapter, 99 will be on unilateral relief. It's a rare occasion that they will ask you a question on bilateral. You know why, sir? Listen, in bilateral relief, actually we have not studied any law only. We have only studied the general common points. How can they ask you question on general points? To calculate relief, you need treaty. If they want to ask you question, you know how they ask? Like you had comprehension in school. You have studied grammar in school. Grammar, comprehension. They give us a paragraph and on the paragraph they ask questions. Read the paragraph and answer the questions. Same thing they do in bilateral relief. They will give you the paragraph from the actual treaty. India-Malaysia treaty, India-Germany treaty. They will give you the paragraph. Because this treaty is not a part of our portion. So we have not studied. Question will give us. And then on the treaty they will ask you question. What is the point in asking such questions to a CA final student? Anybody can read an answer. The purpose of testing gets defeated. And consequently, the probability, the likelihood of bilateral relief being asked is 1 in 100. Very rare. Sir, sakali. More than 2 hours you irritated us and now you are saying it will not come in exam. We are so angry, we want to break your phone, break your laptop, wherever you are watching, just break it. Wait. You cannot, you should not, and you will not, because what if I tell you? If 1% chance is of bilateral, then what is 99% chance? Lol. You don't understand? If DTAA comes almost in every attempt, and 1% chance of bilateral, then 99% cases that the question will come on unilateral relief. Whether paper 7 or paper 6, most questions, maximum questions of DTAA have been from unilateral relief. So don't be angry and break your device, because you have to now focus on something extremely important. Unilateral relief under section 91. And why is this important? Please pay attention. In bilateral relief, you cannot answer anything without reading the actual treaty. In unilateral relief, at least you remember that unilateral relief comes into picture whenever there is non-cooperation between the two governments, means they are not sitting across a table, there is no treaty. That is when unilateral comes into picture. Means which is the only government which will come forward to provide relief? Indian government. And because only Indian government is involved, there is no treaty. So the calculation is given in this section itself. This section 91 is a section of which act? Indian Income Tax Act. Is Indian Income Tax Act a part of your portion? Lol. Is Indian Income Tax Act part of our portion?
Yes.
This calculation is given in section 91 in our Income Tax Act. So what I teach you here is Income Tax Act. What I taught you here was based on treaty. Whatever is written in the treaty, tax credit or tax exemption, as per treaty, which country will give credit, as per treaty, which country will give exemption, as per treaty. But what I teach you here, ladies and gentlemen, is given in Income Tax Act, and which is why maximum questions come on this concept, unilateral relief. There is a calculation that I have to teach you here. On that calculation you will get questions, and this is your guarantee of approximately 6 marks minimum. It can go to 8. Some difficult question can come for 8 marks also, but minimum 6 marks you will be asked. The minimum 6 marks you will score here. The concept of unilateral relief. Understood? So then let's go to the concept of unilateral relief. This concept will apply whenever there is non-cooperation. Non-cooperation means only Government of India will provide you relief, and the calculation has been specifically and exactly given in the Indian Income Tax Act. Before you go and learn the calculation, you will have to learn the conditions. Unilateral relief will be provided only and only if the conditions are fulfilled. If the conditions are not fulfilled, the relief will not be provided.
Sir, I wanted to ask like what's the final conclusion? मतलब उनको rebate का benefit मिलेगा in case rebate available?
Rebate is available to resident individual income up to 5 lakh. Non-resident is non-resident. Of course, he will not be getting rebate as per normal tax liability calculation as per income tax.
Even if there is non-discrimination.
Even if there is non-discrimination. Okay. In order to get henceforth, please make sure that when we have decided to reserve last 10 minutes, then we cannot consume time during the class and then still reserve the last 10 minutes. So please make sure you wait at the end of the class, because this was not something which was relevant when you need to understand what you did right now. I am discussing the most important concept. A target of every student is 6 marks. At this stage, you are interested in something which is over. If that is something that was going on right now, and if you clarify, that is again a different thing. But when I am doing unilateral ka discussion, you cannot, that means your mind is still over there only. You have to focus on this. And ऐसा तो नहीं है ना that if you don't ask right now, then you will forget the doubt only. You can reserve it towards the end, because you should not be distracted from going on. Don't have an objection that you are asking a doubt. My objection is that you should understand what is going on. You cannot distract and disturb. I won't get disturbed, but the concentration level of students is very poor. You are disturbing the others. So please make sure you reserve it towards the end of the class. Okay. But in case in this concept, so now I am discussing unilateral relief, and there is something that you have not understood, that I will repeat immediately. But you tell immediately. You cannot tell me after half an hour. Okay. And if after half an hour, then at the end of the class is also okay. That is one and the same. Alright. So focus please. Unilateral relief calculation is given under section 91. But you do not get the relief directly. First, you will have to fulfill conditions. This relief will be given only to those assessees who have fulfilled the prescribed conditions. Totally, there are 4 conditions. How many conditions? 4. In that, the first condition is actually a condition. This is the most important of all. After today, if you actually solve any sum, just check this much. Just check this much. These 3 are not conditions, they are comedy. Are you comedy me? They are not conditions, they are only comedy, they are nonsense. If at all there is one thing which decides eligibility for unilateral relief, unilateral relief is going to be available. Most important, only relevant condition here. Unilateral relief will be available only to residents. Unilateral relief will not be therefore available to. That means the moment you become a non-resident, you lose higher basic exemption limit, you lose rebate under 87A, you lose the benefit of unilateral relief. This is the only important and relevant condition. Yes, there are 3 more. They are not conditions, they are comedy. I'll tell you what those conditions are. But sir, what is the logic? Nothing is bigger than logic. And you have to be a good CA. if you are learning with me. Listen please. Resident means India is your home. That means source is outside. That means he is that guy who has earned outside and brought that money to India. We want to encourage such people who are bringing foreign money to India. If that country does a treaty with us, we'll together provide treaty benefit, relief. If that country is not doing treaty with us, to hell with that treaty. To hell with that country. If that country is not cooperating with us, we will give you relief, our dear resident. Most welcome. Most welcome. As against this, compare it with a non-resident. Non-resident means India will be the host country, no? If you are non-resident means India is not the home country. If you are non-resident means India is host country. That means you have source here. That means you are earning income here and taking it. In this case also, if your home country was doing a treaty with us, we would have most willingly provided you relief. But if your home country is not interested in doing treaty with us, to hell with you assessee and to hell with your government, you are taking away Indian money outside India. Then pay our share before you leave. We will not give you any relief if you are taking it. See, what is the difference between resident and non-resident? Resident is going to bring foreign income to India and non-resident is going to take Indian money outside. So obviously, we will be providing relief only to residents. That's the logic. You don't want the logic, Samalai. But just tell us the condition. What is the condition to be eligible to get unilateral relief? You need to fulfill only one condition is relevant. You have to be a resident. Unilateral relief will not be available to non-residents. Have you understood this? Let's see what are the other three conditions. Unilateral relief will be available only if you have income outside India. Ha 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 ha. Lol. Listen, if you are a resident of India, double taxation can arise only if there is income outside India. If you don't have income only outside India, do you understand there will be no question of double taxation? When there is no double taxation, where is the question of relief? Any relief, unilateral or bilateral? Double taxation relief can arise only if you have foreign income. And then obviously, this is not a condition. This is something that will give rise to double taxation. So, this is not a condition. This is comedy. What is the relevant condition to give you relief? Should be a resident. Third condition, the assessee should have paid a tax outside India. Lol. That means what they mean to say is, you have foreign income in some other country, some source outside India. This should be taxable income in that country. So it should not be an exempt income. You should have paid a tax in that country. Tell me one thing. If this income outside India was exempt income, that means there is no tax in that country. And if there is no tax in that country, double taxation will not arise only. Think about it. Now think about it. These two conditions together will give rise to double taxation. You have foreign income on which you have paid tax. Foreign income on which you have paid tax. Plus you are a resident, therefore you have Indian tax. Together these two conditions will give rise to what? Double taxation. Or may I put it this way, that if these conditions are not fulfilled, then double taxation only will not take place. And if double taxation only does not take place, where is the question of providing any relief? Understood? So, unilateral relief will be available only to a resident who has income outside India, who has tax outside India. And the fourth condition. Ha ha ha. LOL. Lolva. Arey. You know what I am saying? Listen. Hey, assessee. Assessee. If there is DTAA no, then we will not give you unilateral relief. If there is DTAA, we will not give you unilateral relief. Assessee बोला I don't want unilateral relief. Tell me why? Why? I'll get bilateral no if there is DTAA. So obviously the concept of unilateral can arise is required only if there is no DTAA. If there is DTAA, we will take unilateral as per DTAA. So listen, these two conditions together will give rise to double taxation. Without these two, double taxation only will not take place. It makes sense to you? When double taxation has taken place, we will go and check for treaty. If there is treaty, we will give bilateral relief. If there is no treaty, then there is only one thing left, unilateral relief. So by the time you come to unilateral relief, you have already checked these three. While doing your calculation, you have to check only one thing. In every sum that you solve, you have to check only one thing. To give unilateral relief, the main condition, the only thing which is relevant to give unilateral relief is what? Assessee has to be a resident. If the assessee is resident, then only unilateral relief will be available. Understood? So that way there are four conditions. Income outside India, tax outside India, no DTAA are also there. But what is the only condition which is relevant from today onwards? Resident. And now that you have understood the conditions, we can actually go to the concept of calculation of relief. How to calculate unilateral relief? Mind you, this calculation is given in section 91. And to understand this calculation, I will take two examples with you. One easy example, one difficult example. And once you understand the easy and difficult both, you will understand the concept of unilateral relief perfectly. Let us take an example. Mr. X, who is a resident. You know how important being resident is in the concept of unilateral relief? Without this, the relief won't come only. He is of the age 33 years. Now, what is the relevance of the age? Basic exam. By the way, till the time the question does not specify senior citizen, you have to take normal anyways. He is giving you his income details. He has got income earned in India, 8 lakh rupees. And he has got income earned in a foreign country, 7 lakh rupees. Indian source is 8 lakh. Foreign source, income in foreign source is 7 lakh. Of course, if the source is in a foreign country, that means can I say that country will also levy tax being the host country? Say that country has levied 20% tax. Means this 7 lakh income has been taxed in the country of source at a rate of 20%. And the bad news in the life of this assessee is that India does not have a DTAA with that foreign country. He has got income from such a country with which India does not have a DTAA. No DTAA with that country. So if you want to be perfect about things in class, then you need participation. Unless and until you do that, you will never get the feeling of a live lecture. It will always feel like a recorded class. I'll ask you simple things like name of the assessee. Just give an instant answer. Name of the assessee? Mr. X. Age of the assessee? 33. Residential status? Resident. Indian income? 8 lakh. Foreign income? 7 lakh. Tax in the foreign country? 20%. And bad news of life? No DTAA. Fantastic. Fantastic. First, let's check whether there is any double taxation. Let's check that. Because if there is no double taxation, you have brains, there is no question of relief. Let's see. 8 lakh rupees Indian income. Is it taxable in India? Lol. Residence and source both are where? Residence and source both in India? Of course, it will be taxable in India. Will it be taxable in the foreign country? 8 lakh rupees? No. That means, can I say till now, so double taxation has not taken place only. Very good. Let's come to 7 lakh rupees earned in foreign country. Question has already told you that the foreign country has taken tax of 20%. That means, is this 7 lakh already taxed in the foreign country and principle of source? Yes. The question is, will this also be taxable in India? I am asking only yes or no. Why? You have earned in a foreign country. Resident has to pay tax on world income. Globally, there are two principles. That means, can I say this 7 lakh is tax in India, principle of residence, home country, and foreign, principle of source, host country. Now tell me one thing. Are both taxes being paid by Mr. X?
Yes.
So is it same person?
Yes.
Is it same income 7 lakh?
Yes.
Same person, same income getting taxed twice? Is this double taxation?
Yes.
Yes, there is double taxation. If there is double taxation, give relief. Go read the treaty. Give relief. Go. Give relief as per treaty.
There is no DTAA.
So you cannot give bilateral relief. And if you cannot give bilateral relief, you are left with only one option. Which one? And for unilateral, now you have to check only one thing, only one thing, only one thing.
Residence.
Is he a resident? Eligible for unilateral. By the way, there are 3 more conditions. I told you they are comedy. Income outside, tax outside, no DTAA. We have already checked that. Income outside India, tax outside India, no DTAA. That is why we have desire of unilateral. If there was no income outside or tax outside, there was no double taxation, no question of relief. If there was a treaty, then we will give bilateral. For unilateral, it has to be no DTAA. That means the other conditions are already checked. So when you start solving your sum, the only thing that you are required to check is going to be, is the assessee resident? And is the assessee resident? Yes. Yes, the assessee is resident and therefore will be eligible for unilateral relief. Understood? All the 4 conditions are cumulative, but the truth is that without these conditions, double taxation only will not take place. And without this, you will not come in unilateral because you already have bilateral. So these 3 will by default be satisfied even before you enter unilateral. So when you enter unilateral, you have to check only this. That is why I have highlighted this. Though the conditions, yes, they are cumulative. Okay. Now, if I have to only teach you the steps of calculation of relief, if I have to go by mechanical learning, I can only do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6th step is your answer. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. If I do it that way, you will be able to get your answer in this example. But the objective of this class is not to get answers to these examples. Objective is, dear ICAI, bring it on, baby. Bring it on. What can you bring? Bring anything. I am ready for anything. I am ready for everything. Bring it on, baby. I am ready, prepared for everything. Are you following? And thus, for that you require conceptual clarity. So I'll tell you the logic first. The logic works like this. Listen, assessee. Do one thing. You are being made to pay tax in both countries. Will there be tax in India? Tell me, Indian tax is attracted at what rates to individual assessee? Slab rates? And you have tax in the foreign country, which will always be given to you in the question. Find out the Indian tax. Find out the foreign tax. Find out the Indian tax. Find out the foreign tax. Voice is coming, no?
Yes.
Find out the Indian tax. Find out the foreign tax. Indian tax or foreign tax, whichever is lower will be your relief. Let's take dummy numbers. Supposingly your tax in India is coming to 30 and tax in foreign country is coming to 40. So maximum India can give you 30 benefit, no? How can it give you 40 benefit? It is taking only 30, don't pay anything. And supposingly Indian tax is 40 and foreign tax is 30. So what will India say? You paid 30, no? Take benefit of that 30 and pay only the remaining 10. So Indian tax or foreign tax, whichever is lower. In principle, this is the logic. Tax here and over there. Out of the two, whichever is lower will become your relief. But for that, what steps we have to perform? Do you have the brains to understand that you cannot calculate tax in India unless you first calculate what? So your step number 1 is going to be calculation of your NTTI in India. I could have directly given you the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I want you to understand the logic. Objective is what? Listen. Remember the objective. I want Indian tax, foreign tax, Indian tax, foreign tax, Indian tax, foreign tax. And which of the two will become my relief? Whichever is low. Now, foreign tax I can actually directly calculate also because I have the income and the rate both. But for Indian tax, I will need to calculate total income. Then I need to calculate total tax. It will take some time. So step 1, total income in India. Please be a good student and answer. 8 lakh, 7 lakh, 15 lakh or 0. Why do we say 15 lakh? Because you are a resident and world income is taxable in India. Relief we are giving. Relief we are giving. But before relief, your total income is 15 lakh, no? For the time being, imagine there is no relief. Then what is your tax liability without relief? First calculate that tax liability and then from that tax we will give you relief. So when you calculate your tax liability without relief, you have to include the foreign income also. And on this income, now you will find out the tax liability. Wait please. Look at the income details. Under the income details, is there any amount where the assessee has taken any benefit? Like chapter 6A deduction or house rent allowance benefit or 10AA. Any detail given to you in the question? No. If no such detail is given, obviously we will assume that assessee has not taken any of those benefits. And when assessee has not taken any of those benefits, then do you understand the NTTI as per normal provisions and NTTI as per 115 BAC will be same? If you have taken the benefits, then in 115 BAC you have to deny the benefits and increase the income. But if there is no such detail, then both incomes are same. If both incomes are same, then which one is beneficial, normal or old regime or new regime? If both are same, then new is beneficial. Correct or no? So we will calculate the tax as per 115 BAC. Wait please. Sir, are we always required to calculate 115 BAC? Listen, in all sums you will solve both. Old and new, old and new, old and new, old and new, old and new. You will always solve both. Always solve both. Hello? Always solve both. But in this question, it does not make sense to do so because both NTTIs are same and 115 BAC only is better. So calculate tax as per 115 BAC. Please give me that amount. Wrong answer. Someone like, dude, we have memorized that. You told us to learn that by heart and we know 187,500 by heart and still you are saying wrong answer. In fact, even if senior or very senior, it is 187,500, still you are saying wrong answer. Come on, tell me, why do I say it is the wrong answer? Think about it. Tax liability cannot be basic tax. Tax liability will be 1,95,000 after adding 4% HEC. Understood? So what is the total income in India? 15 lakhs. Modi ji's favorite amount. On that, what is the total tax liability? Total tax is 195. Before relief, we will give relief. But before relief, it is 195. Because now I am going to take you to the most important step of the entire calculation. If you get this step correct, if you understand this step, this is achievement. We are requested to calculate something called average rate of tax. Please pay attention. My total income is 15. Some portion got taxed at 0, some at 5, some at 10, 15, 20, 25 also was there. And that total tax became 195. On an average, India is taking what rate of tax from me? If we have to convert this slab into a flat rate by checking the total tax on my total income, then what is the average rate of tax? You know how to calculate the average rate of tax? The total tax upon the total income into 100. Is 195 your total tax on total income of 15 lakh? Then what is the average rate? 195 upon 15 lakh into 100. If it is in decimal, you have to write 2 decimals. I know this is a round figure. This is a round figure. But if it was in decimal, then you have to write at least 2 decimals. No problem. 13%. This 13% is very important. Here you have to understand the logic. Huge significance of this 13%. If you don't pay attention, you will not understand. Listen, instead of doing slab, if you pick up your calculator, take total income on the calculator, 15 lakhs, and apply this rate on 15 lakh, you will directly get your 195. That is how we have averaged out our tax. That means if I ask you at what rate the assessee is paying tax in India net, we know there is 0, 5, 10, 15. It's a slab rate assessee. We know all the rates are applicable. But on an average, what is the final net rate of tax on the assessee? Because on 15 lakh he is paying 195. The final net average rate of the assessee becomes 13%. Did you understand how we got 13%? That means if I ask you at what rate India is taking tax on 15 lakh, then what is your answer? 13%. 15 lakh is getting taxed. Pay attention to my sentence step by step. You will understand the concept. 15 lakh is getting taxed in India at 13%. You agreed? Understood? This means 8 lakh is getting taxed in India at 13%. And 7 lakh is getting taxed in India at 13%. You understood this? You know this simple maths. 15 lakh into 13% is same as 8 into 13% plus 7 into 13%. In simple mathematics, that is what we do. We take 13% common and do 8 plus 7, that is 15 only, no? That means, do you agree with my statement? 8 lakh is taxed at 13% and 7 lakh is taxed at 13%? Because total 15 lakh is getting taxed at because total 15 lakh is getting taxed at
13%.
that means 8 lakh and 7 lakh both are getting taxed at
13%.
In this, the tax that you are paying on 8 lakh, you are paying only in India because 8 lakh is taxable only in India. But the tax that you are paying on 7 lakh in India at what rate? Come on, tell me. On that amount, have you also paid tax in the foreign country?
Yes.
Tell me, what is that foreign tax rate?
20%.
Which will always be given to you in the question if the question does not give you the foreign rate. I gave you in the question 20%. If the question does not give you the foreign rate, then you just write a note to the paper checker. Write bad words to the person who is checking the paper. You dash 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 dash. Tu chor, tera baap chor, etc., etc., something like that. Don't actually do this, huh? Sir, you told us that follow all my instructions. Don't actually do this. Some people are like, dear paper checker, I pray to God that your children write more difficult papers and they never pass. Don't actually write it. Huh? Don't actually write it. If the question does not give you foreign rate, there is a defect. Foreign rate will also always be given. Has our question given us the foreign rate? 20%? Now tell me, 7 lakh is getting taxed in India at 13 and foreign at 20. Then in that case, what is the lower of the two? This is the easiest of all. Means I am asking you what is low, 13 or 20? 13%. And ladies and gentlemen, in no time you have reached step number 6, where you can now calculate the relief. The relief under section 91, which we are going to provide to the assessee, which I already told you when I started the concept. Tax relief is provided at what rate? At the Indian rate or foreign rate? Whichever is lower. And thus, do we know that we are going to provide relief at the lower rate, which also we have already identified as 13 in the previous step. But on what amount? 7 lakh, 8 lakh, 15 lakh, 0.
7 lakh.
If assessee was non-resident, no, then answer would have been 0. Hello? Are you following? In MCQ, anything can be asked. If assessee was non-resident, then answer would have been 0. But assessee is resident, so we will give relief. Of course, 8 lakh cannot be the answers. On 7, you will definitely get. So, in 50-50 lifeline, 0 and 8 lakh gone. Options are 7 lakh and 15 lakh. What do you think? I think unanimously most students are answering 7. Then I should put it like this, ask like this. Does anybody think that also on 8 lakh also you should get relief? Then let me be clear. We have to give relief only on the doubly taxed income. Tell me one thing. On 8, just tell me one thing. On 8 lakh, you have paid double tax or single tax? Only in India. When you have paid tax only in one country, you are not going to get relief. Which is that amount which has been taxed in both countries? The doubly taxed income included in NTTI is only rupees 7 lakh, and accordingly your relief will be only on that amount. So you have to identify actually two things. What is that income on which double tax is levied? That was 7 lakh. And what is the lower of Indian and foreign rate? Foreign rate will always be given, but Indian rate will require you to perform 3 steps. Indian rate can be done only by performing 3 steps. What 3 steps? Total income, total tax and average rate. Listen, the first 3 steps. Total income, total tax and average rate. They gave you the Indian rate answer. Foreign rate is always given. We chose the lower. That gave us this answer, and this you can identify. What is that income on which double tax is being attracted? Doubly taxed income into lower rate will be your relief. I could have done step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Step 6 would have been your answer, but I wanted you to understand the logic, the concept. Tax here or there, whichever is lower. Indian tax or foreign tax, whichever is lower. Did you understand this? Then finally tell me now, see, listen, this responsibility of now finding out 7 lakh into 13% is what? It is not my responsibility. It is your calculator's responsibility. If you have invested in a good quality calculator and you have romanced your calculator all your life. In fact, that is the only thing a CA student can romance. You don't have any time for any other romance also. I wonder, when social media was flooded with hashtag couple challenge, why did a CA student not upload his selfie with his calculator? Because that's the most romantic couple in chartered accountancy. So this responsibility is not my responsibility. 7 lakh into 13% you have to calculate and give me. Give me please.
91,000.
That means finally, what is the relief that we will provide to the assessee?
91,000.
Now listen. If you are asked, only and only and only if you are asked, bloody hell, only if you are asked, then you will perform one more step. Step 7. What is your final tax liability? Achha, by the way, listen. This is final tax liability. Please pay attention. It is not payable or refundable, because for that we will have to go and check if there is any TDS advance tax, because our prepaid taxes will be adjusted. Liability wise, what is final? Payable, refundable can change based on prepaid taxes. What is your final tax liability? How will you identify your final tax liability? Can you tell me in words? How will you identify? Or tell me in numbers, in answer, anything in which you can tell me. How will you find out the final tax liability?
Tax liability as per 115 BAC minus the receipt.
115 BAC was only in this question because there was no tax benefit taken. Okay, so correct yourself, please. We are making a general rule. Or let me put it in more appropriate words. What was your tax liability if we don't give you any relief? We started with that, no? What is your tax liability if we don't give you any relief?
1,95,000.
So that's the amount in step 2. But we have decided to give you relief because you are fulfilling the conditions. What is the relief that we gave you? 91,000. And accordingly, final tax liability will be that. Again, this part is also the responsibility of your calculator, not my responsibility. But you understood, no? Understood, no? From my Indian tax liability, ultimately listen, this is the tax that you are required to pay in India. So whatever relief we will give you from 195. From 195, once we give you your relief, you will get your final tax liability. Is this understood? Mitro, what is more important is this. Whichever language you understand, I'll speak in the multiple languages which I know. Don't be over smart in English. ज़्यादा होशियारी नहीं मारने का in Hindi. दो ढापन you should not be doing in Gujarati. पंचायती you should not be doing in Marwadi. अति शाणा व्हायचा नाही in Marathi. I think this much is enough to make you understand. If the question is telling you calculate relief, you stop here. You have knowledge. The person who is checking your paper does not have that knowledge. He has been given a paper where final answer is 91,000 and your final answer is this. Well, buck, no marks. And when the same thing gets converted into MCQ, imagine 91 and 104 both being in options. What is the relief under section 91? 4 amounts are given. 104 you can see here. Some are like 104 is also there in options. So choose that option. Rubbish. Nonsense. Question is what is the amount of relief? You have to choose 91,000. Other way around. Question is saying final tax liability. You do all these steps. You get 91,000 as your relief. Is that the correct answer to the amount of relief? 91,000 if you have derived, that means all your steps were right. You have not made any calculation mistake till now. 91 is also there in the options. So, wow, 91 mera answer. My answer is also there in the options. And you choose that. Khatam, tata, finish, bye bye. Why? The question is calculate final tax and you have to choose 104. You get marks to answer what is asked, not if you have knowledge. So in short, be very careful about what is the required part of the question. What the question is asking, that will bring you marks. Have you understood this? So Indian tax or foreign tax, whichever is lower is the concept, and this final tax you will calculate only if asked. If not asked, you will stop at relief and finish your question. That is how we do unilateral relief. In principle, what is the logic? Indian tax or foreign tax, whichever is lower. Indian tax will require 3 steps. Foreign will be given. Take whichever is lower and only on your doubly taxed income you will be getting that relief. This was that simple example that we had to do with respect to unilateral relief. Let's be honest, with this concept of unilateral relief is over. Chapter also is over. But I have to do another complicated example of unilateral relief. And we are at a very bad position right now. It's a Saturday today. Next lecture will be Monday morning. Between Saturday 10 o'clock and Monday 7 o'clock are almost 48 hours and absolutely nothing to do. Again, Saturday night you will get drowned in some kind of addiction and all that. And tomorrow morning you will not remember what you did today. Then things will be very difficult for me and you on the Monday morning. The biggest thing required and expected out of you over the weekend, of course you have to revise. Your introduction chapter is over. Not just that, weekend also gives you that liberty that whatever you have studied all throughout, at least you can glance through. But please make sure that the entire chapter of DTAA, in particular, what concept we studied under unilateral. So whatever I have explained now won't be repeated. I will just take my second example, which is actually more complicated. I can avoid that. My concept teaching is over. I can directly go to question answer also. But I want to do a difficult example on the assumption that you have studied all that I have taught here. Moreover, immediately after the second example, DTAA chapter is over. So I will be starting question answer of DTAA. While doing question answer of DTAA, if you don't remember any concept, this is a very, very strict rule that I enforce in every class that I go. If students have not revised, if they are not answering questions in class, then I don't do question answer. Question answer will become self-study. I will not do questions if you don't study, and come if I am asking questions in class, you have to answer. If I ask you that unilateral relief is available at Indian rate or foreign rate, you have to answer at whichever is lower. If you can't answer that much, then I will not do the questions, and this will require you to study the entire chapter. You study the entire chapter. So example 2 and question answer, that is what is left in the chapter. They will become very easy, and of course we will finish this chapter and start our next chapter on Monday morning. Those who have doubts and screenshots can stay back.